A very warm welcome to all of you to the Quantum Advantage Summit in the India Mobile Congress 2024. It is indeed an honor to have you all with us for this important event. We are deeply honored to have the gracious presence of Professor Ajay Kumar Sood Sir, Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India, respected Dr. Ajay Chaudhary Sir, Chairman, Mission Governing Board, National Quantum Mission, respected Professor Abhay Karandikar Sir, Secretary, Department of Science and Technology, and respected Dr. J. Kambata Sir, Vice President, Quantum, IBM. I would request the delegates to please come on the stage and take the seats. We extend a hearty welcome to experts, officials from various departments and organizations, representatives from industries and startups, and members of academic and research institutions and labs. May I now request Professor Karandikar Sir to please present a bouquet to Professor Ajay Kumar Sood Sir, Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India. I would now request Karandikar Sir to please present a bouquet to Professor Ajay Chaudhary Sir, Chairman, Mission Governing Board. May I request Professor Karandikar Sir to please present a bouquet to Professor J. Gambetta Sir, Vice President, IBM. I would now request Professor JBV Reddy Sir to please present a bouquet to Karandikar Sir. Now for the welcome address, may I request Dr. Ekta Kapoor Ma'am, Head Frontier and Futuristic Technologies Division at the Department of Science and Technology to kindly take the stage.
Respected Professor Ajay Kumar Sood, Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India, Dr. Ajay Chaudhary, Chairman of the Mission Governing Board of National Quantum Mission, Professor Abhay Karandikar, Secretary, Department of Science and Technology, participants from academia, R&D institutions, and industry. A very good afternoon and a very hearty welcome to this Quantum Advantage Summit. It gives me immense pleasure to see this wonderful gathering consisting of the brightest minds from academia, industry, and the government. We are proud to host this event under the leadership of the Department of Science and Technology and as a part of the India Mobile Congress 2024. As we all are aware, the Government of India launched the National Quantum Mission in 2023, and on 30th of September last month, 2024, we witnessed the announcement of the technical groups under the National Quantum Mission, which will be forming the 4 thematic hubs in the areas of quantum computing, quantum communication, quantum sensing and metrology, and quantum materials and devices. Today's discussions will not only highlight the incredible potential of quantum technologies, but will also emphasize the importance of collaboration between academia, industry, and the government. By working together, I do believe we can create a future where quantum technologies drive efficiency, sustainability, and growth across sectors. I would encourage each one of you to actively participate in today's sessions and explore how we can harness the power of quantum technologies to achieve India's technological aspirations. A very hearty welcome to one and all. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Your words have set the perfect tone for today's event. May I now have the honor to invite Dr. J. Kambata Sir, Vice President, IBM, to kindly deliver his keynote address on quantum computing in utility era. Sir, please.
Okay. Thank you for being here. I was assuming I would give a presentation, but now I'm gonna just talk about what I think. So I think it's very good to see the National Quantum Mission get launched. I look at quantum computing as the lead of IBM Quantum as the next thing in the future of computing. So if we are going to think ahead, those that have access to computation and those that can use computation are going to make sure they're the ones that are basically driving the future forward. So from IBM, we've been working on building quantum computers now for, many years actually. I started in 2011, but even before then, IBM was considering what it means to build computers. For one of the things that I'm hoping we see coming soon is the quantum computers now that are getting built have got to a stage where they're unable to be run on classical computers. So you can no longer simulate them. We called this utility. What we meant by that is think of them as a scientific tool, something that can be used to explore. One of the things I'm most proud of what I've actually seen from the users around the world using our quantum computers is that in the last year, if you plot the average number of qubits people are using, it was like for the last 5 years or 6 years, it was around 5, 6, 7 qubits. And then last year it skyrocketed to 100 qubits. And so what I see in this is I see a disruptive change. This summit is about quantum advantage. And for us to get to getting quantum advantage, in my view, we need to continue to do the hardware. We need to continue to make better hardware, better components and scale. But we also need to get the algorithms and the algorithm research happening. We need to work out how we can find those applications, do that algorithm research, and run it on quantum computing. If I look at the National Quantum Mission and I look across all the different centers, I think to me it looks like a nice way of breaking up different types. You have the mission associated with the hardware. You also have missions associated with communication, missions associated with sensing, and missions associated with materials. If we think of quantum computers in 10 years, I think, from my view, I don't see these as separate things. I see that what we will see is we'll see quantum computers connected over communication channels. We'll see signals injected into quantum computers. And as we just keep going forward and build larger scale, more capable quantum computers, the question is going to be, how do we integrate all of these together? How do we actually do it in a way that we can run and look at different algorithms? From our side in IBM, we started bringing our quantum computers through the cloud, giving access. And if you look at the numbers, it always oscillates between US and India as the most open users of using our computers. So if you think about that, the amount of skilled people that want to start programming, learning how to use quantum computers, I think it's untapped. Today we give 10 minutes of free per month to our users, and I think if you total up all the hours that are being ran just from India, it's getting close to 200 hours. That's how many hours people have actually used programming on these machines. And there's many different papers that are coming out. So if you look through the lens of skill, untapped potential, I look forward to the future. And that's why, from IBM's perspective, we actually have a team here in the IBM Quantum that we're growing. We've been growing it for about a year. I'm very happy with the team, and it will continue to lead and continue to add in the compiler side of what quantum computers. How do you actually map algorithms to hardware? Venkat, who's here, will be the lead of that team. So I think if we can combine and keep growing, from my perspective, I hope that IBM continues to be a partner of the National Quantum Mission. And I'm looking forward to seeing how we see quantum advantage happen. And I would say it's going to be, yes, keep building better hardware. Second, how do we really activate that community of algorithm developers so they can come up with different applications? Like, think about what's to give an analogy to AI, the chat GPT moment. How do we get those algorithms? How do we get them? And then only through that is we're going to get to quantum advantage. And if we do all this right, it's my belief that quantum advantage can happen in the next couple of years. And on that, I will turn it over to the next. Thanks.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your vision on the role of quantum technologies in the utility era and how they'll shape our future. May I now have the honor to invite Professor Abhay Karandikar, sir, Secretary, Department of Science and Technology, to kindly deliver his address on India's National Quantum Mission.
Thank you very much, Professor Sood, Honorable Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India, Dr. Ajay Chaudhary, a very seasoned industrialist and also the chairman of the Mission Governing Board of the National Quantum Mission, Ajay Gambata from IBM, all the distinguished colleagues, members from the quantum communication and quantum technologies and quantum computing and quantum sensing fraternity. As you know that the National Quantum Mission is envisioned to be a key pillar in realizing the vision of Make in India or Atmanirbhar Bharat in one of the critical technology sectors in the country. The mission is organized across 4 verticals: computing, communication, sensing, materials and devices. And in the last 6 months or so, we underwent a thorough process of evaluating large number of proposals that had come up towards setting up the technical groups and the hubs. And finally, through a very long, rigorous evaluation process, the Honorable Minister of Science and Technology on 30th September announced the setting up of 4 thematic hubs in quantum computing, quantum communication, quantum sensing, and quantum materials and devices. And these hubs are going to come up at Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, IIT Bombay, IIT Delhi, and IIT Madras. And even though these hubs are being set up at the 4 institutions, this will involve about 14 technical groups with, participation from 43 institutions, and which involves 31 institutions of national importance, about 8 research laboratories, 1 university, and even 3 private institutions. So we would have a large number of researchers, more than 150 researchers who would be working in the 4 thematic hubs. And the next 5 years are really laid out for all these researchers. And we are very confident that we will be able to not only do a cutting-edge research in these technologies, but also will be able to develop products and technologies which can be commercialized and deployed. In our mission, we also have an objective of supporting the startups. In fact, each of these thematic hubs will be able to commercialize the technology, will be able to spin off the startups. But even before that, we have taken a step forward. We already have a very good ecosystem of quantum startups, and we thought that we will be able to support these startups even before these hubs get into the action. And therefore, through our hub in ISER Pune under another mission, that is a national mission on interdisciplinary cyber-physical system, we announced a call for funding the startups, and we received an overwhelming response. More than 100 startups submitted the proposals. Again, we went through a rigorous screening process. Our review is still going on, and I hope that we will be able to make a decision of investing in some startups which have a great potential. We have a very liberal quantum startup funding guidelines, and these guidelines I hope will also get adopted later on by the 4 thematic hubs for getting associated with the startups. The mission also aims to create a highly skilled workforce in quantum technologies through academic programs and educational initiatives. We already undertook discussions with All India Council of Technical Educations to see that we can come up with some academic programs and engineering institutions in the country. In fact, a committee has already been set up by AICTE to develop a curriculum on the quantum technologies for our engineering and technical institutions. And I hope that the committee will submit its report by December, and that is the practice in the AICTE that they will be able to then launch these programs in the academic institutions. So we do see a significant potential and a very exciting time ahead for our country in the coming years. From the Department of Science and Technology, we would like to assure all our researchers, technology developers and young entrepreneurs full support. And I hope that this mission will turn out to be a strategic investment in some of the critical technologies for the country, laying the groundwork for making not only a national impact, but a global impact as well. So thank you very much. I look forward to interacting with all the researchers in the quantum technologies.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your valuable insights on the initiatives under the National Quantum Mission, which is poised to make India a global leader in quantum technologies. Your leadership continues to inspire and guide us as we push the boundaries of quantum technology. Next, I would like to invite Dr. Ajay Chaudhary, sir, Chairman of the Mission Governing Board, National Quantum Mission, to share his keynote address on the convergence of industry, academia, startups, and government to supercharge the National Quantum Mission with us. Thank you.
Professor Sood, Professor Abhay Karandikar, and Jay, good to have you with us today, Jay. And all the people who are present here. I think if I would have imagined 2 years ago, would I see so many people in a hall talking quantum? It's so amazing. Suddenly, house full with people standing at the back, we are talking about quantum computing. And you know, whenever I meet people, the first question they ask is, what is quantum computing? But today, as I start to meet more and more people, they've started understanding. So I think as a mission, we are definitely making waves in this country. And it is all due to the real hard work done by people who are at the back of this organization. Dr. Reddy and everybody around here, Ekta Kapoor, everybody. They've all been actually so busy in the last 4 to 5 months to meet a task that as a mission board we had set out for them. And in January, when we had the first meeting, they actually presented us with a PERT chart. And based on that PERT chart, they're absolutely on target. So the interesting part is that this mission is very, very different from any other mission. And the reason why I say that is that this mission is product-oriented. We have set clear targets for making products. So I would urge all the researchers and institutes that are involved with us to be very clear from day one that we are not just looking at research. We want it to go from TRL1, TRL2, TRL4 and hand it over to startups at TRL5 and make products happen. And some of them will happen within institutes and some of them will happen with startups. But this is the key difference. We have a clear task of making products. So that is really what we want to achieve. And India has to, as a country, move from services to products. And India has to become a product nation. And inside that, I think quantum can play a huge role in creating products in India which can be actually sold in India and sold globally. If I look at the response that we've had from startups recently on the RFP that we put out, it's been fantastic. Initially, when we started in January, we sort of found 40, 50 startups. And if 100 have come in this RFP, it's fantastic to see it's 40 to 50 has gone to 100. I would like to see it go to 500 and as soon as possible. So whichever startups are sitting here, if you're thinking of creating something new, please work on quantum. Because all the institutes who have been asked to create products would welcome you into their fold and help you make products. So if we look at current startups, I find that there are at least 6 or 8 of them sitting with actual products which are at TRL 9 and above, literally, actually in the market. And that really gives me a lot of hope for the country, because if we can actually have startups who've already created products and few of them are actually having offices in the United States to sell their product. So we are at that stage in some areas, which is mainly quantum communication. But I think we need to take steps in other areas as well. I also see great opportunities for Indian system integration companies, which are very large in number. Today, we have a 260 billion software industry. Inside that are sitting large number of system integrators who have tremendous reach globally. And we need to actually harness them to be part of the National Quantum Mission and participate in research and participate in taking the products that we create globally. So I think one of the greatest things that the startups will be able to see is that you will not have to worry too much about selling products globally. If you partner with system integrators out of India who have phenomenal reach all over the world, you will be able to get to your customers much faster. I think this is a great start that we can give to startups with a large number of system integrators that exist in this country. I think another area that we are quite clearly looking at is to create a policy for making India quantum safe. And that is something that we really want to make sure that we can work on that. We'd like inputs from all of you who are there today, and give us inputs so that we can actually create a policy which can be there for helping India become quantum safe. It's very important that we start to work on this. United States started out in 2022. They clearly created a plan to say in the next 4 to 6 years, we'll start to work deeply on making United States quantum secure. When I talk to some of the people who've actually been working on this, some of these processes of change from the existing cybersecurity to quantum safe might even take 5 to 7 years. So it's important that our financial systems, our banks, financial systems, and the government in organizations like grids, etc., are becoming quantum safe. So that's a major area that we would like to work on. I think I had a very interesting discussion with Jay yesterday, and there is tremendous opportunity for India to participate with global companies like IBM in actually creating algorithms out of India. That's our capability. Yes, it's an early stage capability, I would say. We are not there as yet. But I think working together, we can actually help create lots of algorithms, applications, libraries on top of what has been already created globally. And India also has something very interesting. We have a very large engineering and R&D exports capability. With that capability, maybe we can participate in some pieces of the hardware within computing and hardware, of course, in quantum communication. And I think one major thing that I would like to see happen is that all the T-hubs and all the various researchers involved, I'd like them to reach out to industry. Don't just think in terms of what you're doing internally. Please reach out to industry. Involve them in the very early stages of working together so that tomorrow, when we can actually have products available, they will be part of us to take it all forward. And something like that has happened in many, many countries. Like in Japan, they call it focused research organizations. Focused research organizations actually have tasks that are given to them where the academia and research and industry work together, invest together, and then create products for the future. So I think this is a model that we can easily follow. I think the other area is that many other ministries are involved with us. And I would like to encourage them to work very deeply with us in different T-hubs also. So Department of Telecom, Department of Space, Department of Atomic Energy, MATI, all of them need to work very closely with us in terms of making us successful. When I look at a charter that we have, which is very clearly to make products with a specific task that has been set out in terms of the next 6 to 8 years, it's also good to see the availability of certain products in the country. So when I was talking to about 5-6 startups, I discovered that we have products like quantum key generation, we have quantum key management, we have quantum key distribution products, we have PQC products, we have quantum secure chips that have been developed by at least 2 companies in India. So it's very interesting to see that something like this is already available. And imagine if we were to plant these quantum secure chips inside phones, we could make phones quantum safe. So something like this is something that we can imagine can happen very soon. And if, for example, our armed forces, security agencies, government agencies want a quantum secure phone, that is also possible. I met some startups here who've actually created phones in India, and we can easily work with them to make quantum safe phones also. So there's a large opportunity sitting out there. And in addition to that, lots and lots of data centers are getting set up in the country. And I also found that there are some startups who also created products for making quantum secure data centers. So I think this is another major area that we could sort of start to look at. Some of them have even developed messengers, which are military grade. And some of them have created products around quantum safe 5G and 6G. So when I see a lot of these products happen in the country, I feel very positive about the future of India. And I would like to see that more and more people in the country get involved with quantum. I'd like to see 200, 300, 400 startups get into this area, because this is the area of the future. And this is an area where we have to be big. We cannot remain a small little participant here. The government has done its bit by putting money behind it. Now is the time for all of us to work together to take it forward and make it successful. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable comments. We deeply appreciate your contributions and continued guidance in shaping India's quantum future. Now, it's my proud privilege to request Professor Ajay Kumar Sood, sir, Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India, to kindly share his keynote address on the vast potential of quantum technologies and India's role.
Chaudhary, Dr. J. Gambata, Professor Abhay Karandikar, all the quantum experts in the hall, quantum enthusiasts, and those who want to know about quantum. It's really a pleasure to be here this afternoon and say a few words. Now, as my previous speakers have already spoken what needs to be said about National Quantum Mission and current quantum technology landscape in India, let me start just to look at our legacy in this domain, because it's always interesting to look at the history. So you all know that back in 20th century, S.N. Bose's paper, I don't know how many of you have seen it, English translation, on Planck's law and the hypothesis of light quanta. Later on it was called photons, was sent to Albert Einstein in 1923-24. And this led to pioneering ideas such as what is now called quantum Bose-Einstein statistics. And Einstein spotted the hint or the possibility of condensate, which we call Bose-Einstein condensate now. So that paper had the germ of Bose-Einstein condensate. So it's, and you know, there are 2 statistics, if you forget the anion, Fermi-Dirac statistics for fermions and Bose-Einstein statistics for bosons. And it's interesting to see in these 4 letters, except B, all 3 have got the Nobel Prize. Einstein, Fermi and Dirac, may not be for the statistics, but for the seminal contributions in quantum physics. So interesting that our Professor Bose, I guess he probably died young, maybe, because by all imagination, he really deserves the Nobel Prize, and the whole the quantum revolution which is happening is really owes to it. And I'm glad that SN Bose Institute, which comes under DST, is celebrating the 100 years. So this is the legacy we had. And I can't forget my own love of Raman effect. Around the same time, Raman, of course, published in 1928, but around 1922, he was looking for the analog of Compton effect, and he discovered what we now call Raman effect. And that again was the emerging quantum theory which came around that time. So two very significant contributions from India in the period 1923 to 1928. So, of course, now we have large number of institutes in the country, and they are engaged in various aspects of quantum, be it the first generation, namely the quantum mechanics, which is, of course, inevitable a pillar of condensed matter physics, chemistry, and quantum optics, quantum materials, and so on. So it's really not surprising that we had to get into this quantum second revolution, which you call. So I was just looking at the historic aspect. Before this quantum mission was launched in 2023 and actualized this year, around 2015-16, our office of Principal Scientific Advisor, that time Dr. Chidambaram was the PSA, and he funded 2 pilot projects on quantum. It's quite before time. One of them in ISC, Professor Selvaraj is here, almost to the tune of 3.5 crores at that time. And another project on differential phase shift quantum key distribution. I don't know if Anil Prabhakar is here. He got a similar amount in 2015, I guess. So it's great to see that earlier efforts were supported. And out of the IIT Madras, one startup came up under that project, which we know who it is, QNU Lab. So I was pleased to see this legacy in this quantum area, which our country has. And I think in the last month when this quantum hubs were launched, I again mentioned, but I don't want to miss it, the key role which DST program on quantum-enabled SNT called Quest, that was launched, which was multi-institutional, and a large number of projects were funded and hubs were created. That also created the right ecosystem for this mission to be launched. So it's not out of the blue. There was consistent effort in that. And here, again, under that cyber physical system which was mentioned, quantum technology hub was there in IISER Pune, which is now going to lead in the beginning the startup under the quantum. So this is just to look at how we have come to this stage. And of course, other departments in the government, be it Department of Telecommunication, be it MIT, they have been playing a important role all along to be quantum ready. So I thought some of you in the audience may not have the historic perspective, so I'll give that. And it's good to see that we are among maybe 12 to 15 countries who have committed the investment, and we need to see how this commitment can bring in more funding from private sector so that this can be amplified. So I will not again amplify what Jay said about quantum computing. It is something to stay, and the error correction, error mitigations are now getting under control, I guess. I will not say fully under control. you have maybe 1 into 10 power 5 error correction rate, probably in the little low. Oh, okay. So it's improving. So I'm just saying the progress is really exponential, and 1,000 qubit now on the horizon, and getting this error correction done. I'm sure it will handle all areas which you call where the optimization is required, be it the traveling salesman, be it the airlines routing, anything which you want to look at. And once we have all this teething troubles of error mitigation under control, looking at quantum chemistry like live quantum simulations for whether it is a drug molecule or whether it is a photosynthetic process, all that I'm sure will happen sooner than later. And I am very sure our researchers in India will play a role, may not be by our own developed computers immediately, but by using the quantum computers which are already there on the cloud, and you can just buy time. They're already happening, few institutes, but I just want to say that please don't wait for that. And I think one should really take a lead in these algorithms. Financial modeling is another area which will again give us the commercial benefits. And one area which I think is not yet so much on the news, but I have read few papers in the climate change, in the weather prediction. I was reading some papers. It's fascinating to see that supposing you have a 1 billion parameters for modeling, you just need the 30 qubit quantum computer for that. But the problem is really putting all those equations in the right quantum circuit, and then seeing how do we churn out and then read the qubit states. But this is, if we can do that, this is something which will be really used, which of huge interest to the almost whole humanity. And sustainability, which has again not been emphasized enough. I mean, when we talk of data centers, when we talk of this computational capabilities of AI, look at the power it consumes. Look at the, few tens of megawatt of electricity. And even when you are sending a simple message on WhatsApp, how much energy it is consuming. And if quantum computers become a reality with all the problems solved, this will contribute hugely to sustainability. So in my mind, quantum computing is green. So we need to have this green quantum computing technology sooner than later, so that these huge guzzlers of power, classical computers, we can have some alternatives. India's role has already been elaborated, how we have probably maximum or next to maximum QKit users. Already we have the simulators. ISC has put along with CDAC in public domain. All that is happening. So I think we just need to get on and remove our quantum hesitation away and do that. International collaboration, let me say one or two words. Again, important partnerships, partnerships with all international players on mutually beneficial way is absolutely essential. And we need to see what is the best model of collaboration. In the Quad, there we have 4 countries, India, Australia, Japan, and US. Quad nations have brought out a quantum report. It is quite informative if you have not seen it. It is on our website. It is on many in public domain. All 4 countries have given their current status. Where does it stand? Please read that and you will know what are the gap areas. Be it in quantum memories, quantum repeaters, be it in quantum random number generators, all that is discussed there. And again, I will not hesitate to advertise another recent report by Itihasa. I don't know if some of you have seen. Myself, I think we all the same culprits were there in the launch of that Itihasa report on quantum landscape. Again, look at that, what has happened. So the reason I am saying all this is that if we need to be aware where we stand today, so that we don't really rediscover the wheel and really move on where we can make headway. So coming to the last point, how do we involve the larger community of Indian citizens, not scientists alone? How do we do that? Because it cannot be done just by this handful of people in this hall or the next hall on quantum. No, we have to involve our citizens. They have to appreciate what is there for them in this, not after 5 years, now. So we were looking at a model one can think of. There is a Geneva Science and Diplomacy Anticipator, GESDA, GESDA. They actually have an open quantum institute, and it explores how to develop use cases in quantum technologies that can accelerate sustainability goals, UN sustainability goals, and involve the citizens. So I will urge all of us, we should think in a quantum mission, how we can involve our citizens right away by this town hall meetings, by young people visiting our labs to get excited right away, not after 5 years, to make it a public movement. Not only the movement of 250 scientists, but it should be a movement of a large population, and they should be quantum literate. So I think we have a long way to go. We need quantum computing test beds. We don't have it. We need to see how do we create test beds. We need to have important components development, which I said, and enormous amount of import which is happening in this area in India. We have to address it. You cannot be importing 80% of your equipment and hope to be a world leader. No. We have to develop parallel competence in making many of those things in India. In electronics, RF electronics, we are very good. We need to put together all the efforts so that we really don't keep on chasing others and have something to offer in this. I'm sure all quantum sensors, again, there are experts here. We should be seeing what is the way to become a front rank players and so on. Things are happening, but I hope it happens faster than what we can see. So I really hope that with the participation of all of you and the public at large, we will make it a mission that India is quantum safe and India is quantum ready to really be a respectable and equal partner in the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for highlighting the immense potential of quantum technologies and India's role at the global stage. Your visionary leadership and deep scientific insights have been a guiding force in advancing India's scientific landscape. We are grateful for your continued contributions in steering the implementation of National Quantum Mission. With those thought-provoking addresses, we come to an end to the inaugural session. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to all the keynote speakers for their valuable insights on shaping India's quantum future. May I now request Professor Abhay Karandikar sir to please present a memento to Professor Ajay Kumar Sood sir, Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India. May I request Professor Karandikar sir to please present the memento to Ajay Chaudhary sir, Chairman, Mission Governing Board. May I request Karandikar sir to please present the memento to J. Gambata sir, Vice President, Quantum, IBM. May I request Dr. Ekta Kapoor ma'am to please present the memento to Professor Karandikar sir, Secretary, Department of Science and Technology. To conclude the inaugural session, may I request Professor Dr. D.V. Fani Kumar sir, Scientist at the Department of Science and Technology, to give the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. As we come close to the inaugural session, it is my privilege to deliver the vote of thanks. On behalf of Department of Science and Technology and the National Quantum Mission, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to all the distinguished dignitaries on the dais for their valuable insights and suggestions. A special thanks to Dr. Jagambata sir, Vice President IBM, for sharing IBM's pioneering work in the utility area of quantum computing. Your expertise continues to inspire us all, sir. Our appreciation also goes to Professor Abhay Karandikar, Secretary DST, for his vision and leadership in driving India's national quantum mission forward. We are grateful to Dr. Ajay Chaudhary, Chairman, Mission Governing Board, National Quantum Mission, for emphasizing the importance of collaboration between industry, academia, startups, and the government in achieving our quantum goals. A special thanks to Professor A.K. Sood, Principal Scientific Advisor to Government of India, for highlighting the vast potential of quantum technologies and India's role on the global stage. I would also like to acknowledge the tireless efforts of the organizers, technical teams and support staff, including Mission Coordination Cell, led by Professor Manindra Agarwal, Director IIT Kanpur, and Dr. Tanima Hazra and her team for their of National Quantum Mission for making this inaugural session a grand success. Thank you very much. Kindly request all to please stay back for a group photograph, followed by 15 minutes tea break, followed by the panel discussion sessions on quantum technologies. Thank you.
Of quantum computing in various industries. The panelists will share insights from their respective fields, offering a comprehensive view of the global and Indian quantum landscape. I would like to invite our moderator for this session, Dr. Manoj Jain from Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, along with the panelists on the stage. Dr. V.F. Saji, Scientist F, DRDO. Dr. Indranil Mitra, Vice President, LTI, Mindtree. Dr. L.V. Subramaniam, IBM Quantum India. Dr. R. Vijay Raghavan from Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, Mumbai. And Dr. Anindita Banerjee from CDAC, Pune, to please come on the stage. Yeah. Dr. Manoj Jain, the moderator of the session, is a senior scientist at Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology with extensive experience in driving key initiatives in the digital and cybersecurity domains. He has been actively involved in formulating policies and overseeing projects aimed at enhancing India's digital infrastructure and cyber resilience. He holds a strong background in IT governance and digital transformation, contributing to various strategic programs under the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. Dr. V.F. Saji, Scientist F at Defense Research and Development Organization and Head of Department Computational Fluid Dynamics in Visakhapatnam. He holds an MTech in Aerospace Engineering from IIT Chennai and a BTech in Naval Architecture from QSAT. His key expertise includes hull and propeller analysis, hydrodynamics, and advanced CFD simulations with significant contributions to naval research and academic mentoring. Dr. Indranil Mitra, Vice President, LTI Mindtree, is a seasoned technology leader with over 25 years of experience, having held leadership roles at global organizations such as L&T Group, Cognizant, and Citigroup. He currently heads the Global Technology Office at LTI Mindtree, where he drives the company's technology strategy and R&D efforts, particularly in quantum computing, quantum-safe communication, and post-quantum cryptography. Dr. Subramaniam is IBM Quantum India leader focused on establishing quantum computing as a major research area in India. He has a rich background in innovation with 34 patents, 150 published papers, and over 3,000 citations. Dr. Subramaniam holds an MS in Electrical Engineering from Washington University and a PhD from IIT Delhi. Since joining IBM Research, he has led efforts in neurosymbolic AI and quantum AI. Dr. R. Vijay Raghavan from Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, Mumbai, is an associate professor in the Department of Condensed Matter Physics at TIFR, Mumbai, specializing in quantum computing and technologies. He earned his PhD from Yale University and completed postdoctoral university at University of California, Berkeley. His work focuses on developing quantum processors using superconducting circuits at ultra-low temperatures. Dr. Anindita Banerjee from CDAC, Pune, is a senior scientist and project manager at CDAC, specializing in quantum technologies. Previously, she has served as a quantum research head and vice president at QNU Labs Private Limited. She holds 4 US patents on quantum key distribution and 1 Indian patent on quantum random number generator. She has collaborated with several academic institutions, published over 20 journal articles, and co-authored a book on optical quantum computation and communications. Now I would like to request Dr. Manoj Jain to guide us through what promises to be an enlightening discussion. Over to you, sir.
I would like to welcome all the panelists on the dais and the participants sitting in the hall to take part in the first ever panel discussion after the announcement of the National Quantum Mission. So we have the panel of experts from the industry, academia, and R&D labs across the country. We would be discussing various aspects of the quantum computing and how we have to take it further to for the country to become a quantum nation and lead the quantum activities in the world. So I would like to start with Professor Vijay Raghavan. And Professor Raghavan, you have built a 6-qubit quantum computer, first ever quantum processor in the country. So I would like to hear from you that what was your journey, how do you want to take it further, and particularly addressing the scalability aspects of your processor to make a quantum usable quantum computer that is from maybe above 50 qubits or so. So over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Jain. Thank you for inviting me to this panel. So, yeah, so the 6-qubit quantum computer, which many of you might have also heard about, it's still not done. We have done some important tests which shows that it's working, and we are optimizing the performance before we actually plan to make it available for a wider group of researchers for both education and R&D purposes. So the journey started, I think we almost 5 years ago when DRDO approached us and so did TCS to build a system like this. And I'll be frank, in the early days of these conversations, I was not very keen to take on a task like this because building a full-fledged machine in an academic setting is quite a challenging task. Particularly because a lot of the things which we could call breakthroughs which led to even small-scale processors had been done elsewhere, including work which I had been part of during my training as PhD and postdoc. And they don't always necessarily lead to new academic knowledge which can be turned into thesis or publications. And in the academic setting, that's your main goal. And to do an engineering task, you need a slightly different kind of a team because we make an experiment work, we publish a paper, we don't worry about that experiment working exactly the same way the next day. But if you're building a machine, it needs to work exactly the same way in the future. So I was reluctant in the early days, but then when DRDO and TCS approached, we figured out that with the right support from their teams, we could have a team of engineers who could tackle the challenges of building such a system. Together with the expertise we have within the academic group of PhD students and postdocs in our group. So that's when we took it off. The pandemic played some spoil sport and slowed things down. But overall, it's been a good experience. As I'm sure many of you know, in terms of actually using a system for something useful, 6 qubits is not really that much at all. But it gave us the experience to work on every aspect of this technology, all the way from the processor architecture to the electronics to the cryogenics and to the software. And that was, I think, a useful experience and really set the stage for taking this to the next level. And during this, of course, we made a lot of choices which played to our strengths. When we release the technical details of this processor sometime later this year, you will see what those choices are. They are unconventional choices, but those were taken because we wanted to use the facilities and the expertise available at this point of time, or since the last few years within our academic setting. Going forward, I'm leading a team under the National Quantum Mission, which is going to build superconducting processors from 24 qubits and up to 50 to 100 qubits in the next 5 years. And there we will learn from the experience of having the right kind of team, the good mix of engineers and scientists of various kinds. That's why it's a diverse team from 5 different institutes with 8 lead PIs from various backgrounds. And this experience is going to really help. It also gave us the experience of working with other government labs like DRDO and industry partners like TCS. And going forward, we are already having conversations because this is, again, cannot be done in a silo. We need to work with new startups. We need to work with the existing industry. We need to work with government labs in order to bring in all the right expertise to build these full systems. So I look forward to that. So it's been an interesting experience, and I'm really looking forward to the next stage.
Thank you. Just to add here, how do you see the different quantum computing approaches and where this superconducting, though it is in vogue as of now, but how do you see the future of other approaches in the quantum computing area?
Okay, so you want me to compare the different hardware approaches, right? So it's true that one can actually build a quantum computer using many different approaches in terms of the fundamental building block, like which physical system one uses. It's kind of comparable to saying that should I store my data, classical data, on a magnetic disk drive or an optical disk like a DVD or a Blu-ray. So there are different physical choices you can make to build these qubits, and each one has their pros and cons. Some are long-lived, some are easier to manipulate, others are can be done on a large scale. And you actually need all of these aspects when you want to build large-scale quantum computers. And today, superconducting qubits and trapped ion and cold atom-based systems are probably leading the race. Photonics has made a strong comeback after some initial efforts. And as of now, internationally, globally, the largest systems are using superconducting qubits and cold atoms and trapped ions. They are very different in their fundamental entity. You know, atoms and ions are microscopic entities, whereas superconducting qubits are actually quite large. Each qubit you can see with your naked eye. So they contain millions and millions of atoms, yet they behave under the right conditions as if they are a single atom. Sometimes these are superconducting qubits are also referred as artificial atoms. So there are advantages of using such an engineered system because it can be fabricated on a large scale. And right from my early days of PhDs, that was the major pitch of superconducting qubits, that they are like semiconductor chips. So once we know how to make one of them, it's easy enough to make millions of them. But we all know it's not that easy. I'm sure Jay will attest to the fact. But really tremendous progress has been made. But it's been like this for the past 20 years. I remember every few years, superconducting qubits will make a leap, and then the ion traps will make a leap. I think lately the trapped ions were quiet for a long time, but there have been some fantastic new results recently with shuttling of ions, which has given risen to many new possibilities. So it is possible that the earliest system where we start seeing some usefulness in terms of quantum advantage may happen in one of these systems. I think it's difficult to predict today. A lot of it will depend on the kind of algorithmic breakthroughs which are going to be made, and they may be more amenable to one hardware than the other because of some specific properties. But it is also likely that the really powerful and large-scale systems may end up using a combination of these technologies, especially if we are able to network quantum processors, and that is something that can happen in the future. So I think it is important to not put all your bets on one technology today. It was true 20 years ago. It's even true, I think, till now, that we still need to work on all these promising systems and maybe also pay attention to completely new systems which are emerging. There is a possibility, maybe less likely today, but it is still there, that a completely new way of building qubits could have all the right set of properties that it can leverage all the developments made in the other fields to really push forward very, very quickly. Projects in a few different hardware platforms, and also left the door open for some new emerging technology, and I think that would be important to do.
Thank you. Now move on to our next panelist, Dr. Saji. Dr. Saji, DRDO has been in the front adopter of the any emerging technology. So how do you see that your work fits to adopt the quantum technology in your daily work kind of thing? Because you are an expert from CFD area, so how do you think that it is going to be beneficial in the CFD for the quantum computing?
Thank you, sir. First of all, I thank organizers to invite me for this panel discussion. As rightly pointed out, that DRDO is always there for any emerging technologies. And in the first discussion itself, sir told, DRDO has funded for the first 6-qubit system. Now, what is the application of this quantum computing in real world physics? That's what we are focusing. For example, you may be knowing that CFD is computational fluid dynamics. We are simulating the aircraft movement and submarine movement, ships movement and all. Basically, I belongs to a naval science and technological laboratory. When we want to simulate 1 second through HPCs, we are getting around 1 week time. So how can we reduce this time gap? That is what first fundamental question we need. Why? Because when we design a submarine, we have to go to different of design cycles. Every cycle consumes this much time. It may going to at least 2 to 3 years for a complete design of submarine. The advantage of quantum computing comes here. We can solve this 1 week computation in 1 day time or less than 1 day time. So eventually you can design a submarine or ships maybe within 6 months time. That is the leverage, that is the advantage quantum computing is promising. That is one point. Another point is that we cannot still, when we simulate with the HPCs, we are not getting that accurate results compared to the experimental results. It is somewhat 5% away. Why? Because we are doing approximations to reduce the computational cost. So we are using some turbulence modeling, some kind of modeling we are doing. We are not simulating the exact physics. Direct numerical simulations we are unable to do because of it demands large high power computational system that is not available till now. So we can attempt that also. So in these two aspects, the accuracy and time we will get for this analysis of all CFD things, that will leverage our country or our entire world. We can design something very fast. So that is the main advantage of quantum computing, sir.
Thank you. Now I go to Dr. Subramaniam. In India, the quantum ecosystem is going very fast. And Dr. Subramaniam, you must be observing the various developments happening in the country. So how do you see these developments? What additional we need to do for the country to become a quantum nation?
Yeah, you're right. Actually, we are seeing a lot of accelerated progress in terms of students, faculty, all of them trying to use quantum computers for different kinds of applications. Okay, so I think with the utility era, where we are showing that with 100 plus qubits, you're able to do things which you cannot simulate. We have now reached a point where we can, look at applications which are just quantum specific, okay, which you cannot achieve. For example, the CFD use case that Dr. Shaji talked about. So this is something you've reached the limit with your classical systems. So this is something that you now have to look for new computational methods. That's the only way to do it, okay? And that's where quantum is, and I think that's fascinating a lot of youngsters today, because as Jay also pointed out, in terms of usage, India is up there, okay, in terms of students, software engineers. So I think that's a legacy we have built over 60 years now, okay, the software engineering industry. This is the time to leverage it. And one way for us to do it is through this algorithms research, which seems to be on its own taking off, okay. Not many courses being offered, not much universities teaching it, but people just going on their own and learning quantum computing and trying to solve things, okay. But I think now is the time for us to give that focus. Now that the National Quantum Mission is here, this is the time for us to identify 4 or 5 national level problems and say that this is what we are going to solve. You know, assume that our professors are going to come up with the best computing technologies, but what are those applications that we are going to focus on? And I think this is the time to build that capability also, especially given that we are seeing a lot of talent and usage of these systems already. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Subramaniam. Now I move to Dr. Indranil Mitra, who is from LTI Mindtree. Sir, LTI Mindtree has been focusing on the software development. So what inspired your company to enter into the quantum area, sir?
Thank you, Dr. Chan. First of all, I would like to thank you for including me in this panel. It's a very great opportunity for me to represent my organization in this forum, and it's humbling to be in the presence of such great minds. The motivation to work in quantum was really self-preservation, because the last 2.5, 3 decades that we've spent in this industry has taught us and our competitors as well as our clients that technology disruption has a tendency to creep up on you. And the only way to avoid being at the receiving end of a disruption is to be proactive. So we have set up a technology office which is constantly scanning the horizon of emerging technologies to see what is out there in the future, which is going to become mainstream and disrupt the industry, the society, the public sector domain. And that is where we found 2-3 years ago that quantum was making strides. Quantum computing was making strides in the technology readiness levels it was achieving. It was starting to feature in some of our client conversations. And we felt it was imperative that we started making the early investments in this technology. And that is the objective with which we started in 21-22 financial year. As you know, we serve 700 plus customers globally. And we feel that we are in a great position to learn from the technology leaders like IBM and others, academic research organizations like IITs, ISCs, TIFRs, and contextualize it to the needs of our customer. Because ultimately, technology is meaningful when it solves a business problem, a commercial problem. And that is what motivates us to take the learnings from academia, from technology research institutions, from technology leaders like IBM, and bring it to bear in our customers' ecosystem, which we understand. And that is really the motivation with which we started, and we've had no reason to look back. We've been scaling up our organic capabilities, we've been building partnerships, and we've been trying out these technologies in some of our customers' landscapes. And it's very encouraging to see what the early response is, and we hope to continue to go from strength to strength.
So, sir, how do you propose, since you are from the industry, so how do you propose to leverage the developments happening in the academia and R&D organization? So how you are going to interact with them, how you are going to take advantages of that, sir?
So basically 3 things, 3 key ingredients. We need to have some in-house capabilities to understand and appreciate what academia and the research institutions are working on, to internalize that knowledge, and then connect that knowledge with our industrial customers. So we've been working with our business unit groups like financial services groups, manufacturing groups, retail, healthcare practice groups, to take these technology solutions and have brainstorming sessions with customers in those sectors to see how this technology can solve a useful problem for them. There are many blues, what is the word? There are many complex problems out there, but it has to be useful for the business to solve that problem using quantum to make it relevant to industry. So our effort is to always try and work with our parent group as well, L&T group, as well as our customers to find useful problems that this technology can solve in a manner which adds commercial or intrinsic value. And that is what will lead to success in this technology, and that is where we hope to play a role, sir.
Thank you. Now I move to CDAC. Anandita, CDAC is the supercomputing people. They have done a lot of work in the supercomputing area. So how do you see the CDAC's role in the national quantum mission and the quantum activities in the country?
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me here, sir. And it's a privilege to talk about CDAC. So we know that CDAC was born out of a necessity for India to build its own supercomputer. And it was led by Dr. Bhatkar. And since then, it had been a journey from gigaflops to multi-petaflops. Recently, Prime Minister has also launched Rudra platforms, indigenous Rudra platforms. So it's quite evident now, since we're talking about even exascale computing, that CDAC is talking about heterogeneous compute system. And this is where the marriage of quantum computer, quantum accelerator happens with conventional accelerators. Or also it is interesting to see how a high performance compute system will enhance the performance of a quantum computer system. So it's both ways. It's a good marriage. So, so now, keeping that in mind, what are the things which CDAC has done? Now, CDAC has collaborated with academic partners like ISC Bangalore, trying to understand a quantum processor. And there they have contributed, and they are working on building up how to control qubits in a quantum processor, to begin with small numbers. And soon there will be moving on with higher number of qubits. Now, before that, let me tell you that CDAC is an agency who had taken the quantum physics from Apurva Patel's classroom, professor's classroom, and given it to the entire nation to play with. So it is again an achievement where you have a theory and turning out to be a product and providing it to a national access. Now we are working on a project called Accelerators, where we are trying to improvise the performance of the quantum computing algorithms running on the accelerators. So that is another step. Then coming to quantum computers, as I had already mentioned to you about the control systems, CDAC is also working on building a quantum computer, integrating a quantum computer built from indigenous items. We know that we have professors of international repute. We also have startups. Since I'm from industry before joining CDAC, so there are certain startups also interested in building quantum chips, for example, SilicoFeather, QPi AI. So it'll be encouraging and interesting to see how they are willing to contribute. Then there are academic and R&D organizations willing to work on coolers and control systems. So we are having a plan to putting it all together and see how even a 5-qubit or a 7-qubit system works. Why we are doing this? Because we want to understand how to use the existing HPC tools like user management, data management, process scheduling, control, all these things which are already there, how to use that for a quantum computer. So that is the idea, that is the intention. And so there starts the HPC QC integration problem statement. We are also working on interesting applications. There is a project which is given to a few centers in CDAC. We know basically the quantum computing caters to the 4 applications: simulation, factorization, linear algebra. Right, so these are the basically 4, and they have different industry. They cater to different problem statements from different industries. But this is a basic use case: simulation, factorization, algebra, and I think one more. So now how these applications works on an HPC, because then you have different timelines, low latency requirements to conduct those applications in an HPC. For example, quantum error correction codes, when you have to do, you need lesser latency. Then you want to benchmark the device, you have a higher latency. So there is a lot of R&D aspects from an HPC perspective. So that is the intention behind doing all these activities. Now, what is more interesting to me is where quantum computing meets communication, which is distributed quantum computing, which Professor Vijay Raghavan was talking about. So there you have different quantum computers connected together, so using an entanglement channel. So in that direction, CDAC is working with IIT Madras on a project called Metro Area Quantum Access Network, Terrestrial Quantum Network. And CDAC is also building a bottom-up quantum key distribution system. CDAC is building a bottom-up quantum random number generator, a compact and a high throughput. We are also building first, I think we are discussing aerial quantum communication, something that will link terrestrial to a satellite. So we are moving one step towards a quantum internet. So in that direction, again, we have started a project on quantum internet simulator. So there you have different prototypes like teleportation, then you have memories, and then you have different elements of quantum internet put together, just like a QSIM. So quantum internet simulator platform will provide you an experience of how a quantum internet will be looking like. And so from there we move on to another potential area where CDAC can contribute to this national ecosystem and has been doing that, is the education. So CDAC has the capability to provide the infrastructure to the nation and maintain the infrastructure, which is very unique. So, so we have been providing quantum education courses, other education courses as well. So we have started quantum education courses, and we are providing it to all 12 centers in CDAC. We are extending it to providing it to other strategic agencies, which we have recently done with a strategic sector. Then we have used our high compute systems for train the trainer module for performing advanced algorithms. Then, so these are the efforts, where we can also contribute in educating the society. So I think I have not missed anything, sir, but this is an overall where CDAC is looking to contribute in the national ecosystem. Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Anandita. Now again, I go a bit technical about the uses of the available quantum computers. So we are having the NISQ era of the quantum computers, where you are having the noisy computers. So I would just like to request Professor Raghavan to highlight the various application area, how we can use the presently available quantum computers to develop the software required for various applications, and we can maintain our lead in the software development.
So the NISQ era refers to the kind of quantum computing hardware we have today, where the computers periodically make errors. There is a very critical sort of holy grail or a goal which all quantum computing development is targeting, which is quantum error correction, where eventually these errors which happen at the individual qubit level can be taken care of by bringing in some redundancy and using appropriate technique. Now, the idea of error correction is on very solid theoretical grounds, and there have been proof of concept demonstrations, but it is something still a little further away. Once quantum computers with sufficient number of qubits started coming alive, there was an effort to see if there are already problems which don't mind these small errors, or using special techniques, one which was particularly been driven by the IBM group, called the error mitigation, where you try to understand how the errors are affecting your calculation, and you try to remove the effect of those errors. I'm sort of giving a very simplistic picture, but essentially you can still do calculations by doing it in a few different ways and playing around with the errors and trying to figure out what would the answer be if you had a perfect quantum computer with no errors. And many of these ideas and methods are starting to yield some results. One is also seeing that by improving the hardware performance and playing around with these techniques, you can start doing certain calculations which just cannot be replicated by a classical computer in any reasonable time frame. The exact application which may emerge in the NISC era is still a little open-ended. I think people have been trying. A lot of the demonstrations till now are, in fact, problems which are chosen specially to highlight the difference in the capabilities of a quantum versus a classical computer. They may not directly translate to something which can be used to solve a particular problem. But some of the areas which look promising in the NISC era include, doing some quantum chemistry type of calculations. But maybe I will ask Venkat to comment more, since I'm more on the hardware side. Since IBM has been working on some of the applications, you could comment a little on which particular things are being targeted as a promising application in the near term as well. So,
so I think NISC is a mental block. Okay. It's like saying, unless I have a 5,000 qubit quantum computer, I'm not going to build a 6 qubit quantum computer. It's like that. Okay. We have to remove that mental block. The quantum error corrected qubits, okay, in our IBM roadmap 4 years out. But can we achieve useful quantum computing before that? I think we can. Okay, and I think many people believe that. And I think we have to start now. All the usage on the quantum computers, the utility paper last year showing that 100 plus qubits, you're already in a regime where brute force simulation cannot get you there. So that's my opinion, and I strongly believe everyone should start doing algorithms and not wait for saying that 4 years out, only when the error corrected qubits are there, I'm going to start working. Don't think like that.
maybe just a small comment on this area is that, you see, the traditional well-known quantum algorithms whose powers are well established, like the Shor's algorithm, they all assume a perfect quantum computer to exist. So in that sense, trying to develop algorithms which can still work on error-prone computers, you can also look at it in a positive sense that it's actually a brilliant challenge for you to figure out how to exploit the capabilities which are available today. So there is a lot of scope for innovation, and many of this can actually happen without necessarily having access to a hardware as well. See, when Peter Shor developed his Shor's algorithm, he was not trying it out on IBM cloud, right? These are computer science proofs which come from logic and deep understanding of the symmetries and the capabilities which comes from quantum mechanics. So even without access to hardware, I think there is a lot of research which can be done to develop algorithms while keeping in mind now these limitations which current day quantum computers have. So I just wanted to add that.
Thanks. Dr. Saji, you would like to mention certain applications which DRDO will be taking up in the quantum computing area?
Yes, sir. Actually, DRDO recognized quantum computing is one of the deep technologies, 7 deep technologies. Quantum computing is one of the deep technology. So, TRL level less than 3 and all, we can, DRDO given some research board. So you can, my request is that, my sincere request to all of researchers here, you can formulate a project in quantum algorithm. Don't wait for when first we should have hardware of 1000 bits and all, qubits and all. Before that, you, today you make a project to make a quantum algorithm. If possible, quantum CFD algorithms. This is very highly relevant for today's time, because we are waiting for that. As per our plan, we plan for 3 years to make a quantum algorithm for computational fluid dynamics, CFD. But DRDO alone cannot do that, I think. Everybody has to, all researchers, all academicians take a project and different modules we have to attempt. And DRDO is very liberal in giving the projects. We have a center of excellence, excellent centers are there, around 15 center of excellence we have already formed, where you can give your projects more than TRL level 3. If TRL level is less than 3, you can approach research boards. Electronics research board is there, naval research board is there. Every board there are different panels. Scientific computational panel is there under naval research board, etc. So I request, my personal request or DRDO's request is that all academicians, all researchers make a project and give to submit to DRDO. DRDO is very liberal. I was the last 10 years I am in the board, Naval Research Board. So we are sanctioning, we are not expecting 100%, at least 50% is good for us. So still that momentum we have to create, that quantum algorithm passion we have to create in the academics. Our JRFs, SRFs, PhD scholars, everybody should think in this direction. Then only within 3 years we can make a quantum algorithm for CFD. That will lead the country to another level. Actually, we can design all our weapons, all ships, all aircrafts. We can design very short time and we can optimize best one. So it is a real thing. If you are not starting today, we will miss the best. So that is the very critical time now. We are in very critical time. We have to start today itself. Otherwise, other countries will overtake us. So this is my sincere request. I think everybody will agree to this thing. We have to start quantum CFD algorithm today itself.
Thank you. Now again, I just want to ask IBM. IBM is the leader in the quantum computing. So I just wanted to understand from you that how IBM can collaborate with the Indian researchers to come out with a quantum computer system.
See, we're already collaborating with several institutes in India. Okay, so for example, IIT Madras is a quantum innovation center across the world. There are, I think, a few tens, and IIT Madras is one of them. So the collaboration actually began 2-3 years back. My team, we got formed officially only beginning of last year, and I came from an AI background, and all of us, what we did was we went, studied for 6 months, took all the classes we could online and taught each other. That's how we learned, okay. And after that, we went out, reached out to ISI Kolkata, Sushmita Surkole ma'am, ISC Bangalore, IIT Madras, IIT Bombay, everywhere, and that's how IBM works in India. Okay, we work through collaboration with students. We have internships where students come spend time with us in the summer, and they go back, and with the professors we publish the papers. So the collaboration has already begun, and as Shaji sir pointed out, we really invite you to come and work with us, because I think this is an ecosystem we have to build together, and we have to solve some of the tough problems. We have to first identify. I'm really happy that Shaji sir today identified one good problem that at a national scale that we want to solve. So can we identify 4 or 5 such problems and go after them? I think that's, and as a team, and also in the hardware. Okay, so this was the algorithms pitch, but also in hardware, whatever, as I have said many times, the specs and some of those things. For India, I think those are possible. We just have to get to a point where we start discussing those things. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I would like Dr. Mitra, if you can highlight certain applications or the industries which are working with you for developing certain quantum applications.
Yes, that's a very interesting question, because ultimately it boils down to solving interesting problems. Interestingly, the most urgent conversations that are being asked for by our customers relate to the threat of quantum, which is the quantum security conversation, which we'll have in a separate panel, so I'll not steal that thunder. But we are seeing a lot of interest in the opportunity to leverage quantum computers for solving complex optimization problems. We've seen significant interest in the financial services sector, in the manufacturing sector, because there are several problems in the traveling salesman category where computational complexity goes up exponentially as the number of variables increases. And we've seen some good comparable results between quantum solvers vis-a-vis classical solvers, even with the small-scale quantum computers that are currently available to us. So we believe as the quantum computers scale up, we'll see them significantly outpace classical solvers in the optimization domain, and that will be a big plus. We've also had a lot of interest in quantum machine learning because we've seen that with certain highly dimensional feature-rich data, quantum support vector machines seem to provide a better data classification plane compared to classical support vector machines. And QML is an area we are working on extensively with IBM as well, because we found the gate-based approach works well for the problem space. And yeah, those are some of the areas where we've seen a lot of interest from industry perspective: financial services, healthcare and life sciences, and manufacturing, which is in our parent group itself, is showing a lot of interest in solving these kinds of problems. So that's very encouraging for us.
Thank you. Anandita, what are the applications CDAC is working on?
Yes, sir. So I will also add here that, when you're talking about speed and precision, we must also remember, because since I'm staying in that same building, heat dissipation with high compute systems is also a problem, and the power requirement for exascale computing is also huge, where quantum computer works on a very less power compared to the classical conventional systems and solve double complex problem, a higher complex problem. So that is another advantage we have to keep in mind. And CDAC, as Mitra sir just said, we are looking at optimization, factorization, simulation, and linear algebra problems. So quantum machine learning comes in the linear algebra problems. And there is no end. Problems are everywhere. I mean, you have industry sectors, automobiles, you name it and you have problems. And you can use one of these 4 classes to do that. And CDAC is working on quantum machine learning, sir, trying to explore the use cases based on quantum machine learning. And there are small attempts that we have also started, particularly on cancer research. So it was very interesting for me to see how quantum image classification and image processing can help in this medical arena itself. So this is a small beginning we have also made. So these are the broad, still not very much focused, but trying to explore things.
Thank you. Thank you, panelists. Now, I would like to take some questions from the audience. If you have any questions to our panelists, we'll be happy to answer those things. Anybody from the audience?
Yeah, hi, I'm Anuj. So, just a question. I think the question goes to IBM. I think, are you getting enough challenging use cases from industry? Because I think the gap is not like what will happen to the qubits. The number of qubits, I think the issue is with the use cases. The use cases, the correct use cases, the quantum advantage or I would say the utility model, that era which we are talking about. But we are not getting the sufficient use cases where we can actually realize the quantum advantage. So are you getting that? I'm talking about the Indian landscape. Are you at least the discussions which are going on?
Yeah. So, of course, CFD is into the future. Okay, we haven't got anything yet there. But there are some very interesting results on protein folding that we've got, for example, with IIT Madras, fraud detection. So these are real use cases where we see some small advantages of using quantum there. Okay, so, and these are the things we want to build on, right? Because as you try to build more algorithms to solve some of these problems, I think these are early shoots which are showing good results. And as the number of gates increases, as the number of qubits increases, I think there is a very good opportunity to build on top of these things. Because already in protein folding, again, it's like CFD. Okay, that's a problem which the classical world has sort of given up on, right? So these are things which are good use cases, which the pharma industry is very keen on. And again, finance, Indranil also mentioned that finance fraud detection seems to be a very important problem, portfolio optimization, risk mitigation. So all of these, the finance industry has definitely started looking at now in India, okay. So the finance industry in India has already started working with certain startups. They're not working with us, but they have started working with startups. And I think they're seeing the potential, so they're continuing with those kind of things.
Anybody else?
Hello, I just want to open this for the whole panel that what are your views on the possibilities and future prospects on integration of AI and quantum? So will it bode well for the human race, or is it does it have its challenges also? So what are your views on that? So
okay, so I think that's more a philosophical question, but in reality, we are already using AI for quantum, where, for example, Qiskit code generation. So you don't know coding, maybe you know, I don't know coding. I want to build a program, I use AI to build a program in Qiskit to run that. Okay, so that's AI for quantum. Then quantum for AI, where, for example, fraud detection is one problem which I mentioned. You can use classical AI, but you can augment it with quantum.
I think two part is there. One part you can done with quantum, another part of AI. For example, getting the parameters, you can use quantum, and you can change the parameters, optimize the parameters using your HPCs. So combined hybrid method will give you advantage.
Hello, sir, from ISRO, question from ISRO. So with all due respect to the panelists in the stage, so we would like to know about Qiskit, anything that we can do, online processing, image processing, something like satellite imagery processing. Can Qiskit help on that to do?
Yeah,
something
certainly
better?
it can. Okay,
Yeah.
so images so far are not very good, on quantum. Okay, so you have to, as sir mentioned here, you need a hybrid approach where you extract the features, and once the features are extracted, maybe the classification parts you're doing on the quantum. Okay, so there has to be a hybrid approach for now on certain problems, but eventually maybe you can just use all of.
Okay, so, thank you.
So,
good evening. My name is Ansh Chawla, and I am a student at WIPS TC, and I am pursuing third year and currently finishing my BTech. I wanted to know that quantum computing is mainly focused on principles of superposition, coherence, and entanglement, in which coherence is the main fundamental principle. So how is coherence achieved in the quantum computers that are built today?
So, see, coherence is a characterizing feature of a particular quantum system, and it is strongly connected with how that quantum system interacts with the environment. So, there is actually a fundamental challenge in building all these quantum systems is that quantum systems don't like to interact with the environment if they want to remain quantum. But if you want to use them for computing, you have to interact with them. So, this balance has to be struck very carefully, or how closely you interact with the system so that you can control and acquire the information needed for the computation, but at the same time you don't disturb it too much that the coherence is lost. So depending on the particular platform, there are various challenges, but the fundamental idea is the same, that you try to balance these two things out. So, like superconducting qubits, when they first came out in 1999, the coherence time was 5 nanoseconds. Today we are crossing a millisecond or more. So these have all been done by understanding how a superconducting circuit interacts with the environment, changing the materials, changing the design, changing the architecture, all of those things. And similar things have been done for other architectures.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
So, may I? Vijayaraghavan, sir. So I just wanted to add here that he's referring to superposition, entanglement, and interference. Interference. That's the coherence you're referring to. Superposition and entanglement are the principles. The coherence you're referring to is actually the interference, which comes from quantum parallelism, or when you're having Hadamard, particularly if you look at the Shor's algorithm. That is where the coherence you are referring to. So look into that.
So thank you, panelists. We have come to an end to this session. So I'll hand over to Swati.
Thank you, Dr. Manoj, for that engaging session on quantum computing. I would now request Dr. D.V. Fanikumar to please present a memento to Dr. R. Vijayaraghavan, TIFR, Mumbai. Dr. Ishan to please present the memento to Dr. V.F. Saji, DRDO. He's not there. Anandita, you can present it, please. Dr. Tanima to please present the memento to Dr. L.V. Subramaniam, IBM. Dr. Sugandha to please present the memento to Dr. Indranil Mitra, LTI, Mindtree. Dr. Anandita to Dr. Anandita Banerjee, CDAC, Pune. Dr. D.V. Fanikumar to the moderator, Dr. Manoj Jain, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. We can have a group photograph. We can have a group photograph, sir. You can come on the stage here. Quantum-safe cryptography. This session will explore the advancements in quantum communications, focusing on secure communication technologies such as quantum key distribution and post-quantum cryptography. I would like to invite our moderator for this session, Dr. Kamal Kumar Agarwal, DDG SRI from Department of Telecommunications, along with the following panelists on the stage. Dr. Sridhar CV from Tata Consultancy Services, Dr. Nilesh Thande, 42 Labs, Dr. Rahil Patel, QNU Labs, Dr. Vinayaka Pandit from IBM, Dr. Urbasi Sinha from Raman Research Institute, Bangalore, Dr. Prashant Chugh, Senior Scientist at Center for Development of Telematics, CDOT, New Delhi. Dr. Kamal is the Deputy Director General, Quantum Technologies in Indian Telecom Service, 1996 batch with 26 years of experience in Department of Telecom. He is currently responsible for setting standards for post-quantum cryptography and quantum key distribution solutions at Telecom Engineering Center, New Delhi. He has been instrumental in promoting the deployment of indigenous QKD and PQC solutions across government organizations and previously oversaw projects like Telecom Security Operations Center and Lawful Interception Systems. Dr. Sridhar CV from TCS is the lead for alliances and ecosystem partnerships in quantum computing incubation teams at TCS. With over 22 years of diverse experience across financial services, government solutions, and telecom networks, he specializes in managing multi-million-dollar technology transformation initiatives. His expertise spans quantum computing, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and robotics. Mr. Sridhar represents TCS on Bureau of Indian Standards and ITU National Working Group focusing on future network developments. Dr. Nilesh Thande, 42 Labs, is a visionary technologist with 23 years of IT and cybersecurity expertise. As a CEO and co-founder of 42 Labs, he has pioneered India's first quantum-safe digital trust platform used by national agencies to secure their critical digital operations. Dr. Nilesh is a recognized cybersecurity thought leader, driving innovation, growth, and success in startups and enterprises. Dr. Rahil Patel, QNU Lab, directs the growth strategy at QNU Labs. In his role as Chief Growth Officer, he steers QNU towards promising use cases and solutions for business expansion, while also cultivating partnerships to expedite adoption of quantum cryptography across various industries. He has contributed to growth initiative of companies like Motorola, SunGuard, EasyPay, and others during his professional tenure. Dr. Vinayaka Pandit from IBM is a senior technical staff member and senior manager at IBM Research, where he significantly contributes to advancing quantum technologies while leading initiatives in blockchain solutions and supply chain intelligence. Additionally, he is deeply engaged in IBM's quantum-centric supercomputing initiatives, focusing on developing modular systems that enhance computational capacities. Dr. Urbasi Sinha from Raman Research Institute, Bangalore, is a professor at RRI, where she leads the Quantum Information and Computing Laboratory. Her quantum research includes experimental secure quantum communications, quantum key distribution, quantum teleportation, and device-independent random number generation, as well as collaboration with Indian Space Research Organization on quantum experiments with satellite technology projects. She is a graduate from University of Cambridge, UK, and has received several awards, including recognition as one of the Asia's top 100 scientists in 2019. Dr. Prashant Chugh, Senior Scientist at CDOT New Delhi, is currently serving as the Group Leader at CDOT. With over 26 years of experience in R&D, he leads initiatives focused on post-quantum cryptography to address security challenges posed by quantum computing. Over to you, sir.
I welcome all the panelists on the dais. I welcome all the audience in the hall. I am taking opportunity to introduce you about the ITU WTSA. First time India is hosting this event, mega event, and it's the World Telecommunication Standardization Assembly. So wherein 3,000 plus delegates are there from 150 plus countries, and they are developing standards on different subjects on the communications and all the emerging technologies. So with this, I welcome once again IMC as well to all the delegates. Today, in the second panel, I will focus more on the quantum secure communication. So the buzzword is secure communication and post-quantum cryptography. So the moment we are saying secure communication, so everybody wants communication to be secure, but how? So the cryptographic algorithm is the key to secure the communications. Today we are using RSA, DSA, AES, Diffie elements. All these algorithms are there which is securing our communication. But we are afraid. Why? Quantum computer is coming. It will destroy, it will break the cryptographic algorithms. So that's why we are afraid of quantum computers. We don't know. We are getting the messages or informations like China did this. They may break the cryptography any day. So we have to be prepared for that. Quantum computer is using the principles of quantum physics. That's already discussed in the first panel. And one question was there, what is the use case of this quantum computers? So this is the one use case what I said actually. So one of the use cases saving our cryptographic algorithms, critical applications what we have right now. So I am interacting with all the critical ministries, and informing them to safeguard their critical application at least, because we don't know when it will come. So as you know, quantum communication is having two pillars, QKD and PQC. QKD is the quantum key distributions and PQC is the post-quantum cryptography. In quantum key distributions, two people are generating keys, sharing keys secretly using the quantum principles. And in PQC, it's basically hardcore complex mathematical problems. As in the first panel, Doctor said that we should start working on the algorithms right now without waiting for the quantum computers. If you remember, in 1994, Source has developed the algorithms, and in 1996, Grover's algorithm came. So the only problem till now is that we don't have sufficient quantum computers. So if that one will be available, using the Source algorithm, we can easily break the cryptography. So whatever 2048 bits, what we are saying cannot be factorized, that can be done in hours, which in classical computers, it will take years together. So we have eminent panelists here. So I am delighted to have the experts from leading organization in the field of quantum technology. They will share their insight on the current state of quantum computer, QKD, PQC, etc. So I will start with the Prashant Chugh from CDOT. So my question to you is, what is the importance of PQC approach in securing our current and future telecom network?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks, Kamal sir. Thank you, organizers, for having me here. So the question which has been asked to me is the importance of post-quantum cryptography. So as Kamalji introduced, post-quantum cryptography is the technique which involves the complex mathematics, the newer algorithms. So post-quantum cryptography has been, the newer algorithms have been in fact standardized by US, by NIST, that is National Institute of Standards and Technology, which is under Department of Commerce, US, over almost 7 to 8 years of competition. And these algorithms have evolved after multiple rounds of analysis, cryptanalysis, and both theoretical, experimental cryptanalysis worldwide over a public consultation and process. So definitely the algorithms which are coming out after such a rigorous process, we feel are quite robust enough to withstand the potential threat from quantum computers. Of course, the other technique, quantum key distribution, is also equally important. My question which has been posed to me is for post-quantum cryptography. So I will say that when you have certain applications which are running certain cryptographic libraries which are from the classical domains, then it is using PQC, it is quite easy to migrate those libraries using different newer libraries to migrate to post-quantum cryptography. And also PQC can also be used to encrypt data going from say one office to another office during communication channels can be encrypted using the newer algorithms. In the storage systems also, the PQC algorithms can be used for storage systems. So in terms of the communication from one office to another, from one building to another, it holds strength, and in storage system also. So I think I definitely feel that PQC has a lot of importance, and if you see United States is focusing a lot on PQC, and that is why there's a Quantum Preparedness Act which has come out and US President has declared it, and they are keeping it ready. So definitely we also need to focus a lot on post-quantum cryptography. Of course, I'm not denying the quantum key distribution is also equally important, and will answer that question also. And my panelists, fellow panelists, the QKD domain are there, and there are lots of strengths in QKD as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Prashant. So, CDOT being a pioneer in research or work, so what it is doing in the area of PQC? What are your products? What are you doing now?
Thank you, sir. So, in PQC, we currently have, since CDOT is, the strength is in the hardware, electronic system design, software system design. So we use post-quantum cryptographic techniques to make our systems more robust and secure for future. So currently we have a few products, and in fact some of the products are displayed here in IMC also in hall number 5. Just in the same hall where we are having this conference in the ground floor. So we have one is we are displaying here is post-quantum or quantum secure video IP phone, where we have developed that product in-house, and we are using the latest NIST standard post-quantum cryptography algorithms, that is PIPS 203 or the Crystal Kyber MLKM we're using for the key exchange. And this particular product we are showing live demo also on our stall, and we have installed at our stall, then at hall number 1 DOT stall, and also at one place in central Delhi. So in this product, okay, and also I'll make short. Okay, so another product is we are having an encryptor product which can be used to have data encryption from one place to another, and that product again has the latest post-quantum standards and has been specifically designed for military applications. Thank you.
So thanks a lot. So I would like to share one thing. You please visit hall number 1 DOT stall. There you will be able to see the quantum prototype of quantum computers by IBM. So everybody must visit the stall. So next question is with to Urvashi Sinha ma'am from Raman Research Institute, Bangalore. Ma'am, could you talk about the specific area of research in the area of quantum communication that that your institute is currently focusing on? Also, what technological hurdles and challenges do you foresee in expanding quantum communication infrastructure, particularly in the context of QKD?
So thank you very much for the question, and thanks for the invitation to join this panel. So the question is in two parts. The answer will also be in two parts. So the first part, well, I think at RRI, what we do is provide light to the nation. So we are the first lab in India to work on single and entangled photons. And so that is how we are actually enlightening the quantum community in India. So having said that, quantum communications is one of our focus areas. But then before I go on to the four main themes we are looking at in quantum communications, I would like to say that with photons, we are looking at quantum computing, sensing, imaging, precision tests, and quantum metrology as well. But going on to quantum communications, one of our focus areas has been long-distance quantum communication. So, I mean, you gave a very nice introduction to the importance of the field as the moderator of this session. So, one of the things that is important is, of course, for this technology to be available across a long distance. Otherwise, me and Kasturi talking to each other in secret in this room is not perhaps the aim of quantum key distribution. So we have been working on two different technologies for long-distance quantum key distribution and quantum communication. The first one is free space. So we are using free space as our medium and line of sight communication. So we have done, and as was mentioned by Swati, we are working with ISRO on a project called Quantum Experiments with Satellite Technology. So this has been the focus for the last few years to do all these milestones, between two buildings, between a building and a moving platform, develop precision systems for pointing acquisition tracking, algorithmic development, figuring out the atmosphere, because while we all need the atmosphere to survive, it is actually a problem for quantum because the photons get scattered and so on and so forth. So we have figured all that out. And in fact, we are poised with developing a payload for satellite-based QKD. The other thing is that quantum communication is not just QKD. So there is also, as was discussed, in one of the earlier sessions, there is entanglement distribution-based networks. And so that is one of the key areas of the National Quantum Mission as well. And I'm very pleased to say that we are leading a technology group on entanglement distribution-based networks using quantum memories and quantum repeaters. So this is, 5 institutes are involved in this technology group with RRI as the lead institute. And we are going to look at different architectures for quantum memories. And we have already done the groundwork with what is called quantum teleportation in our lab as a part of the DST Quest project that was also discussed earlier. Along with that, we are looking at integrated photonics-based QKD. We had a funded project on that, and we did some very interesting developments there, as well as device-independent random number generation, which is significantly different from what is known as quantum random number generation, but it might become more of a classroom talk if I go into the details, but I'm happy to discuss the subtle differences which makes DI-RNG the way to go for the future. So this was the answer to the first part on what we are doing and what we are poised to do under National Quantum Mission as well, which is in the domain of long-distance quantum communications. Going on to, what are the kind of challenges we expect? Actually, what was very nice in the morning session, not morning, I would say it was pre-tea session that we had, which was the keynote talks. I think some of these challenges were already highlighted by our two dignitary Ajay, and Professor Ajay Sood and Dr. Ajay Chaudhary. So they hinted upon these things somehow in their talk. And so one of the key challenges is, of course, adoption of quantum into existing classical infrastructure, because that is what we need. Everything will not get replaced by quantum. It's the key distribution layer which will get replaced by quantum. But the rest of it, we would like to harness the existing, mature infrastructure to the extent possible, and that, of course, remains a challenge. Secondly, another challenge which Vijay had hinted at earlier for quantum computing is also a challenge for us, which is decoherence. So, while qubits need to be coherent for quantum computers, we also need to ensure that our photons which are carrying this information, they maintain the coherence over the distance in fibers, that is scrambling. So that is a second technological problem. In repeaters and memories, of course, it is a technological problem. It is one of the most R&D focused developments globally, right? We have only a 2-node or a 3-node system globally. So there is a lot we can do. And that is why it is a very interesting challenge for us at NQM as well, because we can then, not only match up, but actually, excel and have a leading role in this, because this is one of those things in which a lot has not already happened. And so, but then it is a challenge. Why is it? Because, the quantum memories are a bit like your quantum computers, these different architectures that were talked about very nicely, each has its own problems. Similarly, quantum memories, we have many architectures, but some have a good coherence time, some have good fidelity, some have good efficiency, but there is no one which has everything. And so that is the challenge we are going to solve and attack at least, and hopefully solve under the NQM. So that is a memory problem. Repeaters based on memory. So naturally, so these are R&D problems, then there is engineering problems, and then there is physics problems like coherence itself. So I would say these are the three, and then I can go on with problems, but I don't want to make this a disappointing session. So there is a lot of problems, which means we'll all be active till our retirements with solving them, right?
And thank you. You have nicely elaborated what are the projects you are doing, what are the problems you are envisaging, how decoherence you have explained in such a nice manner. Thank you. Now my next question is to Rahil Patel from QNU Labs. What is the current state of quantum key distribution and post-quantum cryptography technology in India? Specifically, what products or solutions are available from QNU Labs to address these emerging security challenges?
Sure. Thank you. Thanks to everybody for coming along. So the question is, what is the current state of QKD and PQC? And so, as everybody is on the stage can say and attest to it, that it's growing and it's critical at this point. And so, again, these are two different schools of thought. QKD is one school of thought and PQC is one school of thought. And what we at QNU are doing are basically combining these two. We have a hybrid approach where we say QKD is equally important as well as PQC. The adoption of PQC might be easier, simpler path to take. QKD will probably take a little bit longer for adoption, for general adoption. It is good for certain use cases, and PQC is good for certain use cases. So we have our feet on both the boats at this point. And the products that we are actually developing for this is we have our own QKD devices, which has the maximum of about 200 kilometers today. We are trying to go beyond that. And we have actually come up with a way to actually go beyond that with the hub and spoke models. We have our own PQC stack. And we have combined both of these two where we have PQC stack, which uses the keys and the symmetric keys generated with QKD. So that's our offering at this point.
Thank you. So one of the mission of NQM is the 2,000 kilometer we have to have QK quantum links. So hub and spoke model, you are working on that. Right.
So we are up to about 1,000 kilometers today. So we will continue to build that and go beyond 2,000 and achieve that target as well.
Right. Thank you. So now my next question is Dr. Sridhar CB from TCS. How would you describe the current level of awareness and urgency around quantum security within enterprises? What is your organization doing in this area?
Good evening, and thank you for having us in this panel. So in terms of awareness about PQC, so we're doing a lot of work internally. So it's more important to evangelize this technology internally to our own leaders first, and build the scenarios for using this or leveraging this, the encryption technologies that are coming out there in the. Thank you. So evangelizing this as a technology within the organization first is the approach that we are taking. So we're working with multiple groups. So we have a lot of banks as our customers, both in India and abroad. The awareness level right now is low, but ever since the announcement of this NIST standards on August 13th, there is a significant interest that is coming up from the market in terms of what to do. So at TCS, we started quantum research initiatives way back in 2019. So that's when it started as a research program. It graduated to an incubation program, and we started focusing on three main streams. The first stream that is focusing on computing, so which is mainly to address the opportunities that are arising out there. So we made some strategic investments along with some partners, and then we started working on algorithms and start experimenting quantum computing. Then there is a second strategic team which is focusing on sensing. So again, we have some nice collaborators here, Kasturi Saji in this room. So we have a dedicated team working on sensing related opportunities that are shaping up well. And the third major initiative, so that is the security. So here there are two parts. The first part is PQC, and then the second one is QKD. So in terms of QKD, we have taken an ecosystem approach. So we try to understand what are the products that are out there in the ecosystem and try to see if these things can integrate into our existing network. Unfortunately, the answer is no, because of the bit rate that we have today and then the point-to-point network that we can only create, and this is not usable in the enterprise scenario. So we need to find opportunities to take these keys and integrate it at every layer, like FISEC, MACsec, IPsec, and TLS. So we need to have these keys integrated at every layer. So that will take some time. So we're watching this space very closely. And coming to the final PQC part, and this is the area that we feel there's a lot of opportunity for enterprises in the near term. Again, Indranil also alluded to that part, that they are also seeing a lot of requests coming in this space. So here the strategy is at the research team, so we started working on frameworks that will help us to assess the risk for an enterprise. So suppose a customer of us have about 1,000 plus applications. How do we ensure that all these applications are migrated onto the new technology stack with PQC encrypted algorithms? And we have, after the standards are announced, now we have 3 algorithms that are available and the 4th one is coming. So now we need to see, so what is the framework that we need to use to lift and shift all these applications onto the PQC environment? And that doesn't come very easy, right? It comes with its own challenges. It will impact the performance, it will have bandwidth issues, it will increase the compute challenges, so may not run on mobile devices and all those things. And we have the research groups that are trying to work on these problems right now on what are the reference architectures that we need to use if we have to safely migrate these things into a new PQC era. So right now we have built 2 products internally. So a product called Leak Finder, which will analyze all the source code and identify all the encryption inventory. The second one is the risk management and the risk assessment framework, which will define the framework on how to migrate these algorithms and apply on the reference architectures and create reference architectures which will transition seamlessly into the next generation PQC networks. So these are the things that we are doing at the organization. So we are working with a bank based out of Europe as a pilot. We took some sample 100 applications and then trying to see whether this migration is possible or not. And this is work in progress. And it's not very easy. So we're working on it.
Thank you, Sridhar. So as you said about the risk management, so we should be ready to bear the risk. How much, what we have to migrate, how much we have to migrate. It will be the hybrid model. Preparation is very important, and before that, awareness. So now my next question is to Dr. Vinayak Pandit from IBM. Sir, could you brief about NIST PQC standardization process and the work being done by IBM in this area?
Thank you. Can you hear me? Yeah. So the NIST actually started this standardization process almost 10 years back, right? So it's a very comprehensive process that they went through, where they initially came up with the call for proposals and then invited submissions from researchers all over the world. And most of the submissions are actually consortium submissions, which means that researchers from industries and academia come together to make one submission based on one kind of algorithmic approaches, right? And then NIST actually had almost 4 to 5 rounds of evaluation, which included the theoretical analysis of the approach, as well as the cryptanalysis and trying to break the systems, and then finally selected 4 algorithms which they decided to standardize. And starting from 2016, it took them about 6 years to reach that point. That was 2022, right? And then from 2022 onwards till August of this year, they actually took the time to draft these things, these algorithms into standards, right? So the standards were published in August of 2024, and out of the 4 algorithms that have been standardized, 2 of the algorithms are actually led by consortiums in which IBM played a leadership role. Our researchers in the Zurich lab actually played a pivotal role in development of these 2 algorithms. One is called Crystal Kyber, it's for the key exchange, and the other is Crystal Dilithium, which is for the digital signatures, right? And now they have been renamed as ML Chem and ML DS. And so this is the process that NIST took, right? And at IBM, what we have done is, apart from developing these algorithms, we have also come up with this notion of crypto agility, right? Which is actually very important and goes beyond the post-quantum migration also. Because finding weaknesses in cryptographic algorithms and requiring them to be replaced is actually a common pattern. And today the way the crypto is used in our systems is very ad hoc and entangled in such a way that it's very difficult to disentangle the crypto part from the rest of the IT part. Right? So we have come up with this notion of crypto agility, which aims to decouple the use of crypto from rest of the IT so that it becomes simpler to replace the algorithms with stronger algorithms as you require.
So thank you, Vinayak, for giving the information about the NIST standardization standards declared by NIST. It's FIPS 203, 204, that's what you are saying. Thanks. My next question is to Dr. Nilesh Dande from 42 Labs. Sir, when should large enterprises, SMEs, and government entities start thinking about quantum safe cryptography?
Sure. Thank you, sir. Big day for me today. I actually become doctor today. Okay. Just wanted to humbly submit between my eminent panelists that I am not a doctor. Mr. Nilesh Dande, working as a technocrat in CEO and co-founder of 42 Labs, working into post-quantum cryptography space. See, this, I was actually expecting this question in the earlier panel, right? And nobody asked that question saying, when is the viable quantum computer who's going to be available? Now, jury is still out there, right? And there are scientists who have spoken here from CDAC, various research institutes, where there is absolutely, right now, there is no concrete timeline. However, there are always sprinkling of news that are happening, right? Very recently, 14th of October, there is a claim by a Chinese researcher that they have been able to do something with D-Wave, right? D-Wave quantum computer and all of that. So now, from the takeaway perspective, the only interesting thing that I kind of got from out of all of this is, see, from the evaluation perspective, when you want to think about when do I need to get ready, okay, as far as the quantum computing is concerned, there is a very simple theorem which is given by Michel Mosca. What does that say? It basically says that the amount of time your data needs to live, okay, add that to the amount of time you will take it to transition your system to post-quantum, right? If that is X and this is Y, the Z is the time frame for having an available time viable quantum computer, right? Which is able to kind of break that. If X plus Y is actually greater than Z, that means you have a problem. Now, what does it mean? It varies between industry to industry. Now, let's take an example. Healthcare industry. The data is always going to be sensitive. You don't even want your mom's health record to get exposed into a public domain, right? Very simple example. So that has a long longevity. You want to protect that data. You don't want that data to fall into a different place. Second, defense. The state secret. Long-lived data, but it has implications into the future. So where we know that the Y is going to be very large, right? You don't want that secret to get exposed over the period of 50 years or 100 years, right? And so far, we have all seen already what has happened with the one-time pads and the subsequent repercussions of that, right? Now, when we actually think about that, there is another thing that comes into the mind. Now, we put all of this industry into one bucket. Let's take an example of oil and exploration data. Exploration data, extremely sensitive, national asset, right? Now, you don't want that data to get leaked to somebody else. So when you now look at this industry segment and you say, okay, what is the risk I'm going to take on all this, right? And that kind of gives you an answer, saying, okay, you have to begin right now. Third thing is, now it is not enough to look at this industry segment, but then you are if only I'm saying that, okay, my house is clean and I have transitioned, but what about supply chain? We already have seen what has happened with the supply chain risks, right? So that means I need to enable my vendors as well to transition, right? So I think that, as Vinayak has said, the way to kind of take a look at it is through the crypto agility. Another perspective, see, a threat is also an opportunity. And why is that? See, if you look at cryptology, and forget about post-quantum cryptography as well, cryptography has climbed to number 2 in the OWASP vulnerability standards, What does it mean? There are more and more attacks that are happening on existing cryptology as well. So now this is an opportunity to get my house clean as well, right? So while I do a slow transition towards that, I also thwart my existing threats. And that becomes a motivation for any organization to take up the mantle and go ahead. I'm sorry I have not given any straight answers or a straight timeline because there is no straight answer or straight line timeless.
Thank you, Mr. Dhande. In fact, the question seems easy, but answer is difficult. Because when it's difficult to answer it, but you explain in a nice way, like X plus Y should be greater than Z, and we should follow that. So my next question is again to Prashant Chuk. I would like to request panelists to be brief in the question to answer the questions. Prashant Chuk from CDOT. Which are the factors which the organization may consider to choose QKD over PQC and vice versa?
Well, sir, this QKD versus PQC debate is going on for a number of years. Everywhere you go to a big conference, they discuss go for QKD or PQC. In certain countries are favoring PQC, certain countries are going for QKD. As my fellow panelist, Rahil, he mentioned actually the need is to combine the QKD and PQC and to get the best out of it. Having said that, still the fact is that as the state of affairs is currently, the QKD is a bit capital intensive as compared to PQC. And there are certain types of applications where you have to migrate, for example, on a server, which Mr. Sridhar pointed about, the banking, all applications have to be migrated to, the server banking applications have to be migrated to a different quantum safe technology. There, of course, these are the applications where PQC is the technology to be used, because QKD is more favorable, for example, there are long distance backbone links which you need to migrate. Their QKD is a better technology.
Thank you, Prashant. My next question to Madam Urvashi Sinha. Ma'am, how are we placed in quantum communication vis-a-vis international status? What strategic investment and collaboration should government and research institutions prioritize to ensure India's technological leadership in the field of quantum cryptography?
I will keep my answer brief, I'm sure. But then before I answer this question, your answer give me because I'm an academic, I'm still thinking of whether I answered the previous question to get full marks. So there was one thing I missed. So standardization is another, problem, because everybody is coming up with their own standards. So to actually have a global standard for various QKD products is again a challenge. So ITU and HC, they are actually doing things about that, and I'm sure our DOT is also participating, right, through SRI and so on. So that is one of the things I had missed. And the other thing I had missed is advertising DST stall, because you talked about the DOT stall. So it becomes my humble responsibility to say that DST has a stall for National Quantum Mission, stall number 3.8. And we actually have a product there from our lab as well, along with 3 other very nice demonstrations from other institutes. So now going on to the international, I think this is a good segue to the question on international status. I think quantum communications is one area where I think we are doing very well, actually, vis-a-vis how the rest of the world is doing, whether we know it or not, right? So we already heard a lot about what has been happening in various institutes and organizations. So we have, long fiber QKD. We are trying to increase the distance as we speak and so on. Then we have developed a lot of, technologies for free space quantum communications. ISRO also has its own program, along with, institutes like ours, which are working on space-based QKD. And in, the other main vertical, which is memories and repeaters, I think, I would say that we don't have much currently in India. But then that is why we have our technology group. So we are going to attack it with full force. And hopefully in a few years' time, we would have already developed what the rest of the world has developed. And we are clever enough to actually use that development to, come up with innovative ideas there. So the other thing I think I should point out here vis-a-vis the international status is that, as was pointed out by, again, Dr. Chaudhary and Professor Sood earlier, we do have a boom in, the number of startups that are happening in India. There are 100 odd proposals I think they have received, as was mentioned today morning. So I think that is a very good sign, and quite a lot of them are focusing on security based products. I'm very happy to say that I have myself co-founded a startup, QSIN Technologies, which is looking at solutions to quantum cryptography, computing and sensing. And what I would say differentiates us is that we are basically focused on taking lab to market. We are not a huge commercial entity, so we want to do lab to market solutions, and then perhaps the adoption can happen through larger industry partners and so on. Now, your second part of the question was what we should do regarding international collaborations, right? And what should be the kind of strategies we should adopt. Now, this is a tricky question because there's a lot of misconception actually, because we are talking about security. It leads to a natural question, how can we collaborate if we want our own indigenous security? And so this is a little bit of a misconception, and I think Professor Sood mentioned this very well. He said that, there is no point in reinventing the wheel. And so there are, of course, many things in which we have done some very good things, but there are many things which we still need to develop. And so there is no, science is something which we can always get influenced by others and work together to make things happen faster. I don't personally see any issue with working together towards developing of good R&D. Now, when we are going to adopt this R&D, of course, that is up to the organizations, the strategic organizations to do that. And so they will use the R&D which we have developed. So the R&D development should be distinguished from, the strategic use cases. Maybe we won't buy a QKD product from some other country and put it in our army or navy or something. But that doesn't mean that we won't co-develop things, because then we are missing out, right? If we just sit in silos and say, okay, we are going to develop everything on our own, we are very proud to be Indians and we want to make things in India. But beyond a point, it doesn't make sense to not get, there is a lot of literature, so we should definitely encourage collaborations. But one thing which nobody talks about, which I thought I should point out a little bit, is we should also have ethical hacking programs. Because if we are developing protocols and then there are some side channel attacks which are getting missed or something, then if we have our own ethical hacking programs, then at least that is where we can, of course, always ensure that we are safe. I mean, you and I can collaborate and we use the same QKD protocol and keep our data individually safe. But then if anything is missing, we could develop these ethical hacking programs as well to sort of circumvent those. So I would definitely encourage keeping the science and the use case separated so that we don't miss out. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. So my next question is to Dr. Sridhar from TCS. How the organization should ensure interoperability and compliance with emerging PQC standards across the organization's ecosystem? What should be their plan to engage their vendors, partners, and other stakeholders regarding PQC readiness and solutions? It's a big question.
Thank you, sir. So the interoperability part is not much of an issue with PQC. However, again, we need some reference architectures in terms of how do we seamlessly migrate into these new systems. Yeah. So that's not a problem on the interoperability part. On the second part, in terms of engaging the vendors, so right now because the standards are new, so people have been experimenting with open source frameworks, and I would actually strongly encourage all the students and startups here to start with Open Quantum Safe and start building products around PQC, which can be useful in different scenarios, right? So here, even from the big tech players, the products are still in beta, so they're not available for commercial use, and probably it will take some time. And they're also figuring out how to do this seamlessly, right? And I think one public startup that we work with is PQ Shield, which is a startup that we have engaged. And there are two other startups with whom we are working on the PQC strategy. So we take them as a part of our program in terms of doing these enterprise migration strategies for these large enterprises. So I think we are engaging these vendors to do part of the work while we leverage a part of the work from TCS products. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So I would like to invite our questions from audience. Any question?
So just want to ask, like you have your indigenous actually algorithm for the PQC. When we can expect one same sort of approach in the QKD? Because as of now, if I'm not wrong, it is DPS that you are following, the QKD.
So again, as I said, both of them are different in
No,
the way.
that I understand, but I'm saying that indigenous, you have something internal. Something will come out of NQM, but we expect something from QNU also. So just wanted to understand whether there will be a different approach, a type of a different sort of QKD, okay, which we can expect from QNU.
Yeah, so what we have done currently with the QKD that we have extended the distance that it covers beyond the 200 kilometers using our hub and spoke architecture. The next thing that we are working on is on the free space QKD, where we have experimented with a clear line of sight quantum key distribution using laser. So we are trying to extend that beyond the 2 kilometer distance that we are covering today. So that's under work.
I once again thanks.
We can have a round of applause for the speakers and the panelists. Thank you, Dr. Kamal, for that engaging session on quantum communications and quantum safe cryptography. May I now request Ms. Bhavani to present a memento to Dr. C.V. Sridhar, TCS. Dr. Ishan to please present a memento to Mr. Nilesh Thande, 42 Labs. Dr. Tanima to please present the memento to Dr. Urbasi Sinha, RRI, Bangalore. Dr. Fani Kumar to Dr. Vinayak Pandit, IBM. Dr. Nandita to Dr. Prashant Chuk, C. New Delhi. Dr. Ishan to Dr. Rahil Patel, QNU Labs. Dr. J.B.V. Reddy to Dr. Kamal Kumar, Department of Telecommunications. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. We can have the group photograph. Quantum thematic hubs under National Quantum Mission. On 30th September 2024, India's 4 thematic quantum hubs were announced, marking a significant milestone for the country's quantum mission. These thematic hubs are positioned as the backbone of India's quantum technology revolution, fostering collaboration between academia, industry, and government. The session will explore the establishment, vision, and potential impact of these hubs on key areas such as quantum computing, quantum communication, quantum sensing and metrology, and quantum materials and devices. The discussion will focus on how these hubs will drive innovation, develop a skilled workforce, and position India as a global leader in quantum technology. Join us as we explore how these hubs are not only advancing research but also laying the foundation for groundbreaking applications that will shape India's technological future. I would like to invite our moderator for this session, Dr. JBP Reddy, Mission Director, National Quantum Mission from Department of Science and Technology on the stage, along with the following panelists. Professor Anil Prabhakar, Project Director of Thematic Hub on Quantum Communications set up at IIT Madras. Professor Shankar Kumar Silvaraja, Project Director of Thematic Hub on Quantum Computing set up at IIC Bangalore. Professor Kasturi Saha, Project Director of Thematic Hub on Quantum Sensing and Metrology set up at IIT Bombay. Professor Rajendra Singh, Project Director of Thematic Hub on Quantum Materials and Devices set up at IIT Delhi. And Dr. Rajkumar Upadhyay, CEC. In association with IIT Madras, the Quantum Communication Hub is also set up at CEC. Dr. JPV Reddy is a Scientist F and Mission Director of the National Quantum Mission at the Department of Science and Technology, Government of India. With over 2 decades of experience, he holds an engineering degree from Delhi College of Engineering and an MS Research from IIT Delhi. Dr. Reddy has been instrumental in leading the national initiatives including National Quantum Mission, Clean Energy and Cyber Physical Systems. He drives the collaborations between academia, industry and R&D labs for socio-economic advancements as well. I would now request Dr. Reddy to please give an introduction about the thematic hubs.
Thank you, Dr. Swati. Good evening, everyone. Greetings from the Department of Science and Technology. Before putting up the questions to the panelists and introduction of the panelists, I would like to give a glance about the National Quantum Mission. The National Quantum Mission is a visionary initiative uniquely designed to harness the potential of quantum technologies. The announcement of the 4 thematic hubs in the areas of quantum computing, communication, sensing and metrology, materials and devices marks a transformative milestone in India's journey towards global leadership in quantum technologies. A key feature of the T-Hubs is their multidisciplinary approach, which allows experts from the different fields such as physics, computer science, engineering, materials to drive holistic advancements in quantum technology. 4 thematic hubs set up as a Section 8 companies in premier academic institutes, R&D labs. The hubs will have a full autonomy and administrative powers in devising appropriate processes and procedures for achieving the mission objectives and execution of the T-Hub activities under the guidance of Mission Governing Board and Mission Technology Research Council. T-Hubs will be instrumental in knowledge creation, technology delivery to meet the objectives of the mission. The hubs will work for the overall development of ecosystem through spikes and spokes. T-Hubs have 4 primary responsibilities: human resource development, entrepreneurship development and industry partnership, international collaborations and technology development, which includes basic and applied research, translational research, directed research and R&D infrastructure development. Each T-Hub will be responsible for the creation of central facilities as may be required to carry out research and technology development in their respective domains. These sophisticated central facilities may also be available for other users from academia, research, and industry and startups. I am confident that these T-Hubs, along with the technical groups, will lead to transformative discoveries that will strengthen India's technological leadership, safeguard our national interests, and bring about long-term societal and economic benefits. Additionally, the hubs will build skilled human resource capital and enable job creation in emerging quantum technology sectors. The hubs will also be responsible for creating startup ecosystem and fostering industrial and international collaborations in their respective domains. Thank you, Dr. Swati.
I would now like to introduce the panelists. Dr. Rajkumar Upadhyay, CECO. Dr. Rajkumar Upadhyay is the CEO of the Center for Development of Telematics under Ministry of Communications with over 31 years of experience in telecom. He has been instrumental in advancing quantum technologies, particularly quantum communication, leading CDOT's development of quantum key distribution and post-quantum cryptography. Dr. Upadhyay holds a PhD degree in corporate strategy and policy, an MBA from IIM Bangalore, and an MTech from IIT Roorkee. He has been recognized with numerous awards for his contributions to telecom and quantum sectors. Professor Anil Prabhakar, Project Director for the Thematic Hub on Quantum Communications, is a distinguished faculty member in Department of Electrical Engineering at IIT Madras, where he has been since 2002. His research interest encompasses quantum technologies, fiber lasers, optofluidics with active involvement in national projects like LIGO India. As a co-founder of QNU Labs and Confluence, he contributes to quantum communications and photonic quantum computing. Professor Shankar Kumar Silvaraja is a Ramakrishna Roy Rao Chair Professor at Center for Nanoscience and Engineering at Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, where he also serves as the chair of the National Nanofabrication Center. His research focuses on silicon photonic integrated circuits, high-speed optical connectivity, and quantum photonic integrated circuits. Professor Kasturi Sa is an associate professor in Department of Electrical Engineering at IIT Bombay. She specializes in nanophotonics, quantum optics, magnetometry, and color centers in diamond. She leads the Photonic and Quantum-Enabled Sensing Technology Lab, focusing on advancing precision metrology, sensing, and imaging through interdisciplinary research. Professor Rajendra Singh is a professor in the Department of Physics at IIT Delhi and serves as the principal investigator of the Advanced Semiconductor Materials and Devices Group. He also holds a joint faculty position in the Department of Electrical Engineering at IIT Delhi. His research focuses on gallium nitride-based and gallium oxide-based devices, semiconductor nanowires, and the growth and characterization of quantum materials, among other areas. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Swati. Yeah, now I would like to request a question for Dr. Rajkumar Upadhyay, sir. As CEO of CDOT, what role do you see telecommunication playing in integrating quantum technologies into India's communication infrastructure? What do you say?
So the question is, how do we telecom networks play a role? Okay. Thank you, Dr. Reddy, and thank you for this opportunity to be here. Those of you who are not aware of CDOT, CDOT is a R&D institution of Government of India, primarily doing research in telecommunication and cyber security. The question here is that how does telecom networks play? Definitely, the information which is flowing to the network is through all telecom networks. So today it is, even if it is encrypted, maybe like AES 256 encryptions are being used, or various kind of encryptions are being used. So if we need to protect this information from quantum computers, we need the quantum systems. And with that, two branches of quantum we are working with in CDOT is working. One is QKD, that is the physics-based, which works on fiber. The other is PQC, this is post-quantum cryptography, that is based on maths algorithm. Both of these systems are production grade, already available, already working in India. Our PQC system is working between TEC and DOT. Our QKD system is working between carrying live traffic from DOT and NIC. So definitely, given the information flow in the network and given our adversaries, I think we need to protect this information. And definitely going forward, today it may be the adoption rate of quantum may be low, but going forward, I think slowly the organizations will move towards quantum, and even the pipes, the flowing between the cities, Delhi, Mumbai, should be a quantum pipe, so that all the information which is flowing into the network will be quantum. So I feel that because the state of industry in quantum today is similar to what semiconductor was in 1950, and then it progressed. And thanks to Department of Science and Technology taking such a great initiative of putting National Quantum Mission, so that at least in this technology we can rub the shoulders and be ahead of the many of the other countries. I think very timely initiative has been taken. And given the frugal innovation which happens in India, we do everything at a very low cost. Or, for example, the 4G, 5G developed by CDOT it is already operational. Many of you will be aware. It is operational in BSNL. It took less than 100 crore to develop. So, which is whereas the countries have taken billions of dollars. Same is the quantum. I think we would have spent very little money to develop this quantum system, both QKD as well as PQC. So definitely telecom networks which will carry the information need to be quantum protected. So, and the quantum will play a big role. The question is whether you put QKD or you put PQC or you put a combination. You can do either QKD or PQC, or if you are an organization like Army, you will say, okay, give me a combination of QKD and PQC together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Very insightful information. Now, Professor Anil Prabhakar. India has an ambitious goal in quantum communications, especially around secure communication networks. Could you please elaborate on your plan to create products or technologies in this area?
Well, before I answer that question, I want to give a little bit of history. I want to thank Dr. Reddy first, not just for inviting me here, but what people don't know is Dr. Reddy was a scientist who funded India's first QKD project in 2005 at IIT Madras. Right? So our history goes back for 20 years on this. To answer your particular question, I think in about 2015-16, when I started looking at QKD again, I realized that there was very little reason to pursue it unless we managed to take everybody along. And the only way to really take people along was, at that time, in my mind, was through a startup. And that's where we incubated QNew Labs. And today QNew is doing its own success stories, charting its own path. And I think that seed of being able to take other people along is very critical to the success of anything, especially in quantum communication. I mean, communication is about talking to people. And if I'm going to try to build a secure communication network, there has to be a party at the other end who wants to talk to me. I think getting more startups involved, if you think about it, is almost essential because of the breadth of and length of our country. Look at, we've got a partner in CDOT themselves, and they are sitting in Delhi, and we are sitting in Chennai down on the other end. And in between, I've got partners in, across in Bangalore, Hyderabad, Indore, and so on. The idea is to be able to get more people involved and believe that this is something that is critical for our infrastructure. As we start getting more digital information out there, as we start building out more healthcare plans, as we start building out more of digital India and the reach, securing our digital infrastructure is almost inevitable. We do not know, as Dr. Upadhyay mentioned, we do not know whether it's going to be QKD or PQC, but I'll tell you this, that thanks to the National Quantum Mission, the focus on cyber security is also there. Right? People, I often ask, how often do people change their passwords? And most of us don't change our passwords very often. Right? And the banks will force it on us, and then we will write down our passwords because we can't remember it. They force it so often. I think basic ideas of cyber security are also important when we start talking of quantum communications. And given the number of attacks that are happening, not just on telecom infrastructure, but on our power grids, our railway infrastructure, I think those also need to get secured. And they all run fiber optics at the back end today. If you get fiber to the home, you want to be able to guarantee that something that you're sending is secure. It may be a long time before you get QKD to your home, but I think PQC will get there much faster. Given this idea that it has to go everywhere, it's not work that can be done by a few individuals in this country. It has to be done widespread by startups and researchers across the country.
Thank you, Professor Anil Prabhakar ji. I appreciate you. Professor Shankar Kumar Selvaraj. Quantum computing is a vital area for India's future. How do you plan to balance research across various quantum computing technologies like photonic, spin, superconducting, semiconducting, and drive impactful market application? Over to you, sir.
Right, thank you. So unlike the other verticals where communication has a as a clearly marked target on looking at aspects of exchanging information, data, and securing it. But computing as a whole, you can say that, okay, I'm going to use the aspect of quantum for doing computing to exploit the nature. But then what platform do I want to exploit? So this is first of its kind in the world, I would say, where a mission where we are not giving any preference to a particular vertical, right? Though superconducting is reasonably mature, so is the iron traps. And then we have more potential photonics is coming along with semiconducting as well. So we are not discriminating any of those. So we are all going to, invest in all these technologies. So that is something, very visionary thought when you look at the mission document, right? So I would like to congratulate and appreciate the mission for doing this unbiased approach towards different platforms. So the reason for that is it's reasonably trivial if you know the field, right? So this is something that Jay already mentioned, right? And a couple of folks and Vijay also mentioned, where at this point of time, you're looking at a mature technology that will give you scalable compute platform, right? But at the end of the day, they can't do the job on their own going forward, including superconducting circuits, right? So we were discussing with Jay that after a while, you start thinking about interconnecting, right? So you do RF interconnects or optical interconnects, right? So there you need photonics, right? And then if you look at the traps, so right now you're using crazy number of lasers and trying to do this. And it is simply impossible to scale the number of lasers requirement and the optics requirement. So this should be done on a platform that is much more scalable. So again, we are looking at traps on a chip. That requires, again, photonics. It's not because, I come from photonics background. This is where, each of these platforms are going to, at some point, talk to each other. Already it's happening. More involved in order to do progress in their own vertical. So that becomes inevitable. So from the hub perspective, we are not looking at any particular vertical. We are equally excited in doing and investing in these verticals. But then we want to explore how in future, down the road, 5 years, 10 years, it becomes inevitable that these are going to merge at some point, right? We should be prepared for that. So that is going to be our approach, right? While we are, going to look at each of these verticals, to make sure that we have technology deliverables. But there should be a research component that we want to invest where we are looking at these mergers. That will take us beyond what we know today. We don't know. That's going to be primarily how the hub is going to visualize on these technology platforms.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Now, Professor Kasturi Saha, quantum sensing is a crucial component of the quantum mission. Could you please share the focus areas and describe how you envision its role in shaping India's position in the global quantum landscape?
Thank you, Dr. Reddy, and I'm very thankful for this opportunity to discuss about the quantum sensing and metrology hub that is going to be formed at IIT Bombay. We have actually named it QMet Tech Foundation as the name of our Section 8 company. And the hub is focusing on 3 different areas, as we already know. It's sensing, imaging, as well as metrology. In part of the sensing, the initial formation, the technologies that we will be involved in are magnetometry. And in magnetometry, we are going to be focusing on atomic magnetometry as well as NV center-based magnetometry. And I will be leading the team that will be focusing on NV center-based magnetometry. And it's just not magnetometry, which is just measurement of magnetic fields. but it will be also focusing on imaging of magnetic fields. Now, along with the NV team in IIT Kanpur, we have the other two teams focusing on atomic magnetometry as well as quantum imaging. So in the imaging aspects, in the domain of imaging, we have using the entanglement-based resources. They'll be harnessing these entanglement-based resources for quantum enhanced imaging and sensing. So these are the different technical verticals that we're going to start with, but as we grow along in time, we will be expanding into the other core areas of sensing and metrology, which is gravimetry, development of atomic clocks, development of other kinds of sensors, including charge sensors, electric field, temperature sensors, etc. These are all the different kind of areas that we are looking to work on, but one of the key things that we are looking to focus on is essentially to work with industry as well as our strategic sectors, because most of the end use cases for many of the things that we are developing are going to find immediate applications in the strategic sectors. So we're going to be closely working with our strategic sector, including Army, Navy, etc. And in terms of the industry, Sridhar already mentioned, we are in partnership with them. We are developing the quantum diamond microscope, which will be imaging magnetic fields, which will have a diverse range of applications for semiconductor chip investigation, fault detection, etc. So this is the kind of ecosystem that we hope to build. And Dr. Reddy, as we already know, in a recent report from the ASPI, which is the Australian Strategic Policy Institute, it turns out that India happens to feature in the top 5 countries for quantum sensing. And one of the goals that we would be like to set is essentially to push from the 4th position that we are currently in to one of the first 2 at least, which means beating China as well as US. And as we all know, they are really leading the race in most of the quantum technologies. So it's a pretty steep task that we are looking at, but we are hopeful with the kind of infrastructure money that will be pumped in through the National Quantum Mission, along with DST and other ministries, and working with the strategic sectors as well as the industrial landscape within India, we hope to grow not just development of the quantum technologies themselves, but also the peripherals that we are looking at, including the components that will be required to build these quantum sensors. At the end of the day, we are looking not just for development of the quantum sensors itself, but also to be really independent in many of the cases. I don't think in the near term it is really possible to become completely independent in terms of developing our technologies, but we hope to make that transition happen, and we encourage all industries sitting here to really come up and think of how you can engage with us and contact me as we are setting up this hub. We really look forward to your participation. It is your engagement with us that will make us successful. The other thing I want to mention is that while we are sitting all here in a closed room, one of the things that we would like to get across, and what was mentioned in the other panel discussions, is also the engagement. If we are to really develop the kind of quantum technologies that we are talking about, and we've already heard, we need the workforce that will be absolutely necessary. And it is not going to be limited to a few students sitting here. We really have to reach out to the masses to come and join forces with us and make it a successful mission. So, thank you.
Thank you so much. And also, as mentioned by Professor Kasturi, we are very good in the sensors, India, and communication also. Rajesh Saab can explain more, and Anil Prabhakar Saab. We are very good in the post-quantum cryptography and sensing. Thank you, madam. Thank you so much. Professor Rajendra Singh ji from IIT Delhi. Innovation in quantum materials is a vital for the quantum computing, communication, and sensing. Could you please elaborate on your plan to develop new technologies for these 3 verticals? Professor Rajendra Singh, sir.
Okay. Thanks, Dr. Reddy. And thanks also for organizing this very, very interesting session. where we are talking about the various verticals that we are going to work on through this National Quantum Mission. So from the quantum materials and devices perspective, so this particular T-hub or vertical, it actually spans across all the other three verticals. So in a sense, it is going to serve the purpose for the development of, let us say, the materials. So quantum materials as well as the other materials which will be enabling the quantum technology applications. So through this, not only the materials development, many of these materials what we are going to, like, let us say, develop here through the 3 TGs actually which has been recently sanctioned. So they will be in some strategic materials also. So they will be having application for quantum communication or quantum, like, let us say, cryptography also, sensing, but they will also be, like, let us say, having application in itself for certain defense applications or some commercial applications. So through this, not only, like, let us say, one particular quantum mission, but we will be serving even a broader, like, let us say, the market. But if I, like, let us say, again come back to the TGs which have been sanctioned. So first of one of the TGs which have been sanctioned is in the area of 3-5 compound semiconductors for the development of the material and then the development of the devices which are required. So 2 examples I can give here. One is the single photon emitter and second one is the single photon detector. So these 2 devices actually are critical for implementation of any quantum communication, like, let us say, protocol. So these things currently we are procuring from outside, and if we don't develop them today, in future, like, let us say, we may be sometimes putting our own ecosystem into jeopardy. So that is actually one of the key aims, to develop the devices, quantum devices as well as other semiconductor devices or devices based upon, like, let us say, the qubits based upon superconductors, which are having application, which are directly, like, let us say, implementing the communication and the computing and the sensing and metrology. So apart from this one, another thing I would like to mention here is that we will also be working upon the design of new materials. So yesterday I had some discussion with Dr. J from IBM, and there is a very, like, let us say, important area which we can, like, let us say, find the application of quantum computing also in the design of new materials. And through that, some new materials can also be, like, let us say, designed, and then we can develop the technologies, the deposition technology, the crystal growth technology, which, like, let us say, can be utilized to fabricate or grow these materials. Apart from that one, so from the device perspective, we will be working upon the device simulation, the device modeling, and also the device fabrication. So there will be a complete value chain, what I am seeing here, through this quantum mission for quantum materials and devices, the complete value chain starting from the growth of thin films, the materials, going into the device design and modeling, device fabrication, packaging of the device, reliability study of the device, and then ultimately giving it as a component that can be readily made available to the other verticals. So from the technology point of view, this is what I would like to summarize about the quantum materials and devices vertical.
Thank you, Professor Rajinder sir. Yeah, materials is an integral part of this computing, communication, sensor. Thank you. Now I'm coming back to Dr. Rajkumar sir. Yeah, in the past previous session also we discussed, we also would like to listen from you about the post-quantum cryptography, quantum key distribution, and reshape India's telecom infrastructure, and what progress has been made in preparing for this transition in the C. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Reddy. As I said earlier, that the adoption of QKD and PQC is yet to happen. In some countries, it has already started because the concept of harvest now, decrypt later. So even if I listen to your conversation today, which is not breakable by the classical computers today, and I take all the information, and when the quantum computers are available, I can decrypt it, especially classified informations. So in terms of preparedness, I will agree with Prabhakar sir that we have to involve a lot of startups, and thankfully in the quantum mission, they have a wonderful program for startups. I'm very happy about it that there is a separate segment for startups, so startups to come up. We have set up a quantum alliance in CDOT. It is available in our website. We welcome any of the startups who are, who can join us in solving the problems. As far as the production systems are concerned, the systems have been made in terms of QKD systems and both PQC system. The PQC system, what we have made is based on NIST's algorithm, which was recently announced. Why we could produce the product of PQC? Because we are working already with the NIST in the standardization of. So we were partnering with NIST, and therefore, while the algorithms were getting finalized, we were also developing product. In fact, I will encourage the audience here, respected leaders are here. Both QKD and PQC and quantum phones are live in our stall, hall number 5. Both number 6, live network. I mean the live system are available. In fact, we host quantum conclave every year along with the TEC. Last year conclave, our honorable minister said, if your systems are so robust, it should be open to hacking. And there is a challenge, hacking challenge in our website. If you break one per breach, we pay 10 lakh rupees. So many companies visited CDOT to break that, because why we had announced that hacking thing, so that, if we have any problem, it can be developed. Then there another challenge came when we wanted to deploy this in Delhi. Now the quantum QKD system, particularly as Prabhakar sir said, PQC is easier to do because, it's just a box you put here and box we put there. QKD requires quantum channel, a separate fiber, dark fiber. That challenge came to us, and MTNL said, we will charge you X amount, which was quite high. And therefore, we developed a system which is called multiplex QKD. In that, you don't require a separate fiber. In the same fiber, your data and the quantum goes. The only problem happens in that, your distance becomes half. So if your normal QKD gives you 140 kilometers, it will give you 60 to 70 kilometers. Now I will build on the previous speaker talked about, indigenization of components. I'm happy to report that we already have, we were importing the photon detectors earlier. Now we have made our own photon detector. Anybody needs photon detector, we can provide. We have made our own drivers, the drivers used in QKD. We will be open to give these drivers to anybody. Anybody wants these photon detectors, these drivers? Because what we did initially, the methodology CDOT follows is first make the system, back boron steel, make the system. Then look at how do you value add within India. How do you... Now, while we were doing QKD, there were papers that QKD is also prone to side channel attack. Side channel attack. That is how the MDI QKD came, wherein other than Alice and Bob node, you also put a Charlie node. The Charlie node takes care of side channel attack. So this is an evolving field. As I said in the beginning, this is just starting, But, countries like China, Russia, UK, US, all of them are investing heavily in that. And their budgets are much, much higher. For example, China's budget is $10 to $15 billion. Our budget is $1 billion. But I am sure, given the frugal innovation, the talent what we have in India, I think for us, we will be able to achieve the same with that budget. So I think the stage is still nascent. There's a lot of development yet to take place. And this quantum mission will be enabler as a first booster. The second booster will automatically come from the industry, because initially they will only provide you first lift. The second lift has to go based on the market, and it will happen. Given our startups, like QNU, for example, I'll give you example of QNU. QNU got an order of from Navy of QKD systems. Then they got stuck in the process that there are no routers available which can take quantum key. They struggled here, there. Then finally he landed on us because Sunil Gupta ji is ex-CDOT. He asked me, "Arey bhai, I am from your CDOT. You are not helping me out." We got routers manufactured for QNO with the QKD key to help. Otherwise he said, "I will default into the doing this thing." So not only QKD, you need routers, you need the transport system, multiplexer, all into integration into the quantum system. And therefore, we alone, CDOT alone cannot do. And this hub, what they have created, I think there are 22 institutes, if I remember correctly, in this quantum communication. I think something like 22. So we'll be very happy, to learn, because not that we know everything, to learn, to unlearn, and to create an ecosystem for the country. Because sooner or later, quantum will be reality. Banks are already talking about it. These sensitive institutions are talking about it. Army is talking about it. Navy is talking about it. So quantum is going to be reality. And what we thought quantum computers will take little time to come, I think they will arrive much earlier. And therefore, there is a need of quickly doing this. The PQC, in fact, has the two type of models, if you can see in our stall. One is normal commercial grade. Another is a military grade. Military has a different kind of requirement that they need. I mean, their military requirements are very, very stringent. So if my box is this size of commercial, the military box will be of this size. You can have a look at live systems in CDOT, and we'll be very happy to connect with any of the startup, any of the partners. I think the success lies in the collaboration. Alone, I don't think we can do alone. Success lies in collaboration. If we collaborate all of us together, nationally as well as internationally, not only nationally, as well as internationally, so that, together it happens. I will also touch upon two important things, what needs to be done, which is being done. One is standardization. I think we need to work on standardization. For example, we worked with TEC to get first standard GR, that what should be the QKD system, what are the performance parameters, what functional parameters are there. Second, what is required, which has not yet happened, but government is definitely doing it, is the quantum certification labs. I say it is quantum safe. How do you say it is quantum safe? Somebody, third party, has to tell me, yes, dear, I tested it, it is safe. So these two things need to work. One, we need to come with the standards, and TEC is one body, maybe other body also. I'm not saying TEC is the only body. TEC, the advantage is TEC doesn't make standards on its own. It makes a draft standard, it sends it to the industry, takes the comment from academics, takes from practitioners, takes from industry, listens to all of them, and then consensus based on the international practice, it generates the standard document. So I think future is bright for India. In the quantum semiconductor, for example, we are waking up now. Means when the world has already taken it. Quantum, we have started very well. The same way, the way we have done for 6G. 6G in the Bharat Vision document with our Honorable Prime Minister launched. They said that 6G, we were left behind in the patents and the SCPs in 4G and 5G. 6G, we should take the lead. Same way, quantum, we should take the lead. We should work with friendly countries and come up with a global system that can benefit not only India, the humankind all around. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. You very interesting. And I would like to take it forward. What you said is collaboration is very important. Effective collaboration between academia, industry, government, and startup. It is very, very important. I would like to listen from the Professor Anil Prabhakar ji and Kasturi ji on these aspects. Professor Anil Prabhakar ji first, or Kasturi?
It's always ladies first, I thought. See, undoubtedly, academic research will always be academic research, right? There's no way that academia can have the reach of an industry in terms of deployment. And I think it's very good to make that distinction, because the role of academia is not to take products up to TRL 8, TRL 9. The role of academia is to do the basic research and take it up to 3, and if you're lucky, maybe 4. Then there's this gap that is left between 4 and about 7, where startups play a role. So there's always a transfer of technology, a transfer of knowledge that we do from academia to willing people. They could be larger companies, but even within larger companies, there'll be smaller research groups that could be in startup mode. So this transfer of technology is critical to the survival of this quantum mission, right? We are going to develop among all these institutions, 43 institutions, we are going to develop a lot of technologies. And all of them will have to be translated out into products that finally achieve some objectives. So whether it is materials, that those materials that are developed have got to finally find their way into our systems that CDOT or QNU or anybody else deploy. So this transfer of technology happens in little strange ways in academia right now, because academia is still learning how to deal with patents and how to do transfer of technology. And I'm just going to throw an idea out here that this mission would really benefit if we were to pool our patent portfolios and then make them available to people. So if there is a technology that is useful in communications developed by any of the 43 institutions, there can be a single point where someone can go and look for them instead of going to each of the 43 institutions. So some kind of ideas like that that are different will probably need to be thought of and executed with the least amount of bureaucracy so that we can actually succeed in this.
Thank you, Anil. Now that you've touched upon all the important points, let me touch upon a few more things that are necessary when we talk about collaboration. Here we are, this mission is actually very ambitious because you're asking academics who sit in their own silos to really come out and interact not just with 1-2 institutes, but here we are talking about 43 institutes. And within each of our hubs, we have at least 15 plus institutes. And 100 already faculty members who are involved, academics who are involved. So this is quite a large task to get everybody together and to work for a cohesive, technology deliverable. So I think that itself is a challenge, and that we hope to break, and we will be able to really move forward. I think this is one of the first things that I would say in terms of collaboration. The second tier of collaboration is really between the hubs themselves. And I take a specific example of quantum sensing. We are talking about a network of quantum sensors, and one of the things that we want to do in the future is really to build this entire network. If quantum technologies are to talk to each other, we need the communication platforms. We also need the computing power. So all of these have to work together, and I think there at that level itself, at a technical level, we also need collaborations and also partnership from all various different aspects, not just government, but also from industry, and in a very big way, in fact, to make all of this happen together. So yeah, I think that would really sum up the kind of collaborations we are looking for, and finally reaching out to our international collaborators.
Yeah, thank you, both of you. Wonderful insights. Before going to audience, I would like to have one more question to Selvaraj Sahab and Rajendra Sahab. How do you plan to ensure resources, knowledge, and breakthroughs are shared across the ecosystem for faster progress? Selvaraj Sahab.
Yeah. So this has been a very challenging thing for us. Unlike other area of research, I think semiconductors is also equally resource heavy. And that's why you don't see high-end semiconductor research right now happening in academia at all. So there is no device research, and everything has moved to industrial R&D. Academic research is very little there, apart from modeling and design and so on. So quantum computing in particular is resource heavy. So there is a minimum amount of investment required, and that itself is reasonably large in order to see anything tangible, right? You don't want to invest too low, because that's how much you can invest. You can't expect anything out. If you want to get anything tangible, the investment has to be reasonable. And if it has to be reasonable, then you ask the question, what is my return on that investment, right? So that is where the central, facilities, right? So instead of, we are moving away from this whole idea of individual faculty members, individual institutes are given certain grant to set up a facility for their own research program. Moving away from that model, what we are trying to do here is more sort of national facility. This is not new though. So I run a national facility where anyone in the country can get access. And some of these access could be free of cost. And it is simply impossible to set up these facilities in n number of places. Right? So that model exists. So we are looking at those kind of shared model where the investments are in excess of 150 to 300 crores, right? So that whatever we are planning to do has some meaningful outcome. Vijay touched upon this briefly, where he talked about, the whole idea, why superconducting based circuits were very popular is because there was a clear argument for scaling using semiconductor based processing tools, right? But then it only happens if you are able to yield what you actually want. This is something I personally learned by using semiconductor tools for doing photonics. And then now you want to do semiconductor tools and processes for quantum. So the requirement for semiconductor industry is very different. And the requirement for quantum circuits, either it be photonic circuits or superconducting circuits, these requirements are different, right? Not just from the materials that we are going to use, but also from the contamination perspective. So it is simply not possible to just put each infrastructure and then ask them, okay, do this here and do this there. So it need to be shared facility, maintained in such a way that you create more democratic access, right? We are not saying that this is only for the technology group that this is going to be there, all right? So this is going to be there for everyone. Somebody got excited about it. Right? So that is where the central facilities becomes very important, right? And then the other thing is, so one is on the central facility, right? There is a clear rationale to create a central facility. But then the other thing is about how do we take this to people, right? So that is where the hubs are going to come up with open calls. So what I was trying to say is, in addition to the central facility, right? So you want people to get access to this facility, right? What we are trying to do here is not to create just a facility for the technology groups here. The hub is going to open this up for anyone in the country, right? So there will be open call and we will develop the process, right? We will develop the process, we will maintain the process, and all we want to do is people to come up with their own ideas, right? And we will have our own technology accessible to everyone, so you can get access to this facility so that you can do quantum research, right? That is what true democratization is, like what you do for semiconductor fabs. So you don't have to actually own a fab to do it. Once you have the process design kits, right? You should be able to design the circuits and then send it to the fab, and they will fab it and give it to you. We would like to create such a a model that everything that you should be able to do, right, from the ideation to hardware. This is not just for academics. This will create a new generation of quantum design houses, for example, right? So we have a lot of VLSI design houses sitting all over the country. Why don't we have, quantum design houses that can design circuits on different platforms? And that's the idea that we have at Quantum Hub.
Okay, so Professor Selvaraj has very nicely elaborated upon the concept of utilizing central research facilities or national research facilities. So this is actually one of the models. If we want to share the resources, if we want to, let us say, share the facilities, at one or two places or a couple of places, depending upon the theme, you can have, like let's say, state-of-the-art sophisticated equipment or tool housed in maybe some clean rooms if it is required. And then this facility is, like let us say, shared among all the institutions in a, like let us say, in a particular model fashion. But we are doing it also for Center of Excellence in Nanoelectronics, what we have in IIT Bombay or Delhi or ISC Bangalore. So that kind of model is already existing, and those kind of schemes are already existing. So if we adopt that kind of thing, then the resources, the materials and the devices or the other things can be shared very clearly. One important point here I would like to mention is about the IPs actually. So in materials and devices, which will be having application in quantum technology, there will be definitely IPs and there will be patents. So we also have to think about, like let us say, first protecting those IPs and patents, and then later on, like let us say, how we share it with the startups or how we share it with the industry through technology transfer, so that a complete, like let us say, value chain starting from the basic research going to TI level 4 or 5, where we are ready to have the prototype development, and then hand-holding the industry if some, like let us say, that kind of industry partner is there, so that this technology can be transferred to the industry. So the ecosystem, if we want to develop for the entire, like let us say, quantum system, so then the value of the things will be in the sharing. If we share the facilities, if we share the ideas, the patents, the technology, that will be the way forward, so that we can actually enable a very good quantum ecosystem in India. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I would like to request any question from audience. Yeah, please. We have only 5 minutes. Okay. I'm requesting everyone to specific to the question quickly. Yeah, quickly. Yeah.
Hi, good evening. Thanks for a very good talk. So my question is, as we all know, like we are very heavily dependent on imports. Like if we talk about good quality lenses or good quality mirror mounts or even lasers or detectors, whatever, we have to import from outside. So this whole vertical is very much dependent on those imports. So what are the major steps that we are going to take in the NQM to independent ourselves from those imports? As Dr. Rajkumar sir and Rajan sir, they said they are already working on that area, but I want to know like what NQM can going to take major steps in that. Thanks.
Yeah, Rajkumar sir, you would like to say?
As I said earlier, the first job is to make a system. Once the system is ready, then you do this system indigenize, this system indigenize. That is how it happens. I'll just give example. Now we didn't have chips in India. Now chip making is being done in Dhulera, Assam. Same way designs are being funded. So if we have to arrive at the global scale, global scene, it cannot be done overnight. So it's done in steps. Like first make the system. As I said that some of it, for example, photon detector I told you, we used to import from, I think, France. So now it is done in India. It can be given. Same way some other startup will come up with something. We have come with drivers. There was a talk of, I'll take this opportunity, there was a talk of technology transfer. Our QKD system has, TRL9 has already been transferred to ECIL. Chip Sprit, which is a startup, Skytail, which is a startup, and New Age, which is an SME. So 4 companies we have already given the, because our role in CDOT is primarily ecosystem facilitator. And that is why when we make the technology, we give it to the industry partners to now put some topping and sell it. So your point is right. Finally, we'll have to do value addition. For example, mobile manufacturing. When we started mobile manufacturing in India, value addition was hardly anything. Today, we have achieved around 20% of value addition. Going forward, it will become 25, 30, 40, like that, it will increase. So in quantum also, initially the systems will be made, but slowly all the IITs, all the startups, all the industry partners will come up with these small components, and the value addition will increase in India.
Yeah. So I just want to add that this NQM is a technology mission, right? So all the technology or technical groups that are identified here are based on technology deliverables. What I mean by that is, let it be a photon generator, it could be photon detector, it could be semiconducting circuits, or it could be superconducting circuits, it could be controls, right? We talked a lot about controls. All these things need to be indigenized. So that is the basis of the mission, and the whole idea is to reduce the external reliance, right? So the mission takes care of this very seriously.
Thank you, Professor Kasturi ji.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Reddy. So I want to add on to what Selvaraja and Dr. Upadhyay also mentioned. While we have our own missions, I think what is important is for the industry that exists with all these components to come and step up and work with us. And that is the most important, part of working together and elaborating on the collaborative efforts that we are talking about. We do have companies, especially for lenses, optics, etc., but they are not reaching out to us. Please, I urge all these companies that exist to come reach out to us and work with us to develop all these components indigenously. It is not our duty, but it is also for the rest of the nation to step up and put their efforts into making the entire global or the national ecosystem a successful one.
Yeah, thank you. Big question, last question.
Thank you very much. So Colombia wants to join India in this revolution, and my question is, when we were deploying 4G, the technology that unleashed the power of 4G was social media. So my question is, I feel that 6G and quantum are going to be that matching power, but what is that sector, the first sector that can enable the power of quantum, the banking sector, to make it, to reach the point in which we can gain momentum and critical mass and people start understanding the power of quantum?
Quantum technology is going to be the more advanced that will reach the common people use and appreciation. Is that right? And I think most of the panelists would agree with me. It's going to be quantum sensors. And Kasturi can add to it, particularly in healthcare, right? It's what we see. There is quite a lot of application in security, but for real use that will touch everyone's life is going to come from healthcare, and Kasturi can add.
Yeah, I completely agree. It is going to be healthcare where, the quantum sensors are really going to be applicable. But quantum sensors, I have to remind you, already exist and people are using them. So it's not just a technology for tomorrow. It is today, and we are using and we are building on top of it and trying to make quantum enhanced sensors, which will advance the quantum sensing technologies that we are already using.
Yeah. So if you talked about how the quantum is going to be integrated, the 6G specifications are being drawn. I think the 6G specifications will come out by 2028, and AI and quantum will be integral part of the 6G. So you don't have to have a separate quantum system for 6G. 6G will have AI and quantum built within. So, and as far the other applications are concerned, for example, drug discovery, there's a lot of applications in sensing. Not many will come, but I thought I'll touch upon 6G because 6G will have quantum inbuilt in this.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I am closing the session now. You can discuss offline, and we are available now. Now, I would like to thank all the panelists for their valuable insights, participants for their enthusiasm, and organizers for making this summit successful. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Reddy, for that engaging session on the roles and responsibilities of thematic hubs set up under National Quantum Mission. After a full day of thought-provoking discussions, we now invite Dr. Sandeep Patel from IBM India to offer his closing remarks.
I understand we are running quite late here, so I'll try to keep this extremely short. So hey, look, as we conclude the Quantum Advantage Summit, it's been exciting to witness the rapid progress of the National Quantum Mission that's driving momentum across the ecosystem. I really want to thank the Department of Science and Technology, DST India, which actually has now put a well-defined plan in place just within a few months. Also want to thank the Department of Telecom for having quantum as a key theme and giving it so much space at this topic at IMC 2024. I think it's a very relevant technology. I really liked your question about 6G and quantum. I think there is a lot of thinking we have to do in that space. So as the Quantum Advantage Summit provided a comprehensive view, not only of the global evolution of quantum technologies, but also how India is decisively moving to become a global leader in this space. We'd witnessed several industries, startups, academia, government that are truly coming together to grasp the power of this technology. The panel discussions demonstrated the eagerness of all these stakeholders to really move forward in this effort. And also these newly established thematic hubs are going to be, really a force in this space. What stood out most to me was the passion and the clarity of vision that has been shared by the leaders alongside the active engagement from the audience. This collective enthusiasm shows a strong commitment from everyone to ensure the success of the National Quantum Mission. We are clearly very passionate about this technology at IBM because we actually are proud to be the leaders in this space. And I look forward to meeting with all of you regularly to track the fast progress that we collectively will achieve from here on forward. Thank you for your participation. I look forward to seeing you moving this forward. And I want to end by saying that together, we are building a quantum-powered Viksit Bharat, and that's what we all have to look forward to. Thank you.
May I now request Dr. J. Gambata, sir, to please come on the stage to give the mementos. In the front. Sir, Dr. J. Gambata to Dr. Sandeep Patel, IBM. You can come in the front for the photograph. Dr. J. Gambata, sir, to Dr. Shankar Kumar Silvaraja, IIC Bangalore. Dr. J. Gambata, sir, to Dr. Rajkumar Upadhyay, CEO, CDOT. Dr. J. Gambata, sir, to Dr. Anil Prabhakar, IIT Madras. Dr. Kasturi Saha, IIT Bombay. Professor Rajendra Singh, IIT Delhi. Dr. JBV Reddy, National Quantum Mission. Sir. I'll also request Dr. Gambata to please give the mementos to the NCAM team. Dr. Fani Kumar. Dr. Ishan. Dr. Tanima. Dr. Anandita. And myself.
For Dr. Swati. We'll have a group photo. Quickly, we can have a group photo.